adventures, and other resources you can drag and drop into your existing campaign? If so, Lair magazine has exactly what you need. Every issue of Lair magazine comes with 2 5th edition adventures, maps designed for use on virtual tabletops, and other Dungeon Master resources. New monsters, puzzles, traps, magic items, NPCs, pre-made encounters, and more. Become a DM Lair patron today to get a new issue of Lair magazine every month, along with loads of bonus content, such as additional 5th edition adventures and map packs with even more digital maps. DM Lair patrons also get extra perks, such as playing in D&D games with me, voting on the videos I make, access to my VIP Discord channel, a monthly video hangout over Zoom, and more. Click that link below to learn more and become a DM Lair patron today. What up? What is up, folks? Welcome to the live stream. But we haven't started yet. We will be starting soon. That's why it says stream starting soon right there on the screen. Yep, there it is. Yep, you found it. Yeah. Whee! Hello, folks. Penguin Butt, Ed Robinson, Mr. Gore, William. What's up, dude? How you doing? Level Up Leather. Hello. Nasamu, Amber. What's up? Death or Save. Hello. Russ, Derricat. Hello. So somebody asked a question like before the stream started. I saw it and it was very interesting. Somebody was asking if somebody were dangling from a ledge and they dropped, would it provoke an attack of opportunity? Rules as written says that only your movement does. However, I think the spirit of the rules is that the whole idea with moving away and provoking an attack of opportunity is that you're leaving yourself exposed. All right. And the person can take an advantage of your exposure. So like if you're dangling from a ledge, you are by default horribly exposed to attack. And then if you drop, like you're just as exposed, if not worse. So I would absolutely rule that the person gets an attack of opportunity. And if they're adjacent to you, there'd be no cover or anything. Dude, you might even give them advantage because they're swinging at your head and you can't block with your sword or parry. You can't do anything. You're so horribly exposed. So I would definitely rule that the enemy up above is gonna get to take a whack at you, 100%. Dangling from a ledge is just really, really bad to begin with. So to like circumvent the whole attack opportunity with like a technicality in the rules, no, I wouldn't. I would be like, nope, sorry, that's not gonna work, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Anyway, Nixit, what's up? Justin, Jonathan, we haven't really started yet, but I had to answer that. I had to speak to that. It was so like, it was such the thing that a rules lawyer would be like, but the rules say, but the rules say. It's like, dude, I don't care what the rules say. All right, like this is not gonna work like that. Okay. Falling off a ledge happens really fast though. So does swinging my sword at your head while you're dangling there. Like multiple times while you're dangling there. That happens really fast too. Like swinging swords and stuff, it's all that happens so fast in combat. I used to be in the SCA. SCA, Society for Creative Anachronism, and when people are swinging swords and stuff, dude, it happens fast. It is not slow. It's not like one sword swing in 6 seconds. That's so ridiculous. It's many swings in 6 seconds. You get this stuff going fast. Yeah. So no, not flying with me. Pre-stream question answering plus a mini rant. Yeah, I like doing that. I gotta get some coffee. Oh, fencing? Yeah, fencing. Yeah, that's super fast too. Zanhorn says, I've been loving your new format on your videos. Hope your channel continues. Thank you, dude. Yeah, some people are gonna be disappointed, but the skits are going bye-bye from the beginning of my videos. I was looking at analytics and I started doing some experiments with the skits, obviously, and then without them. And retention was amazingly high without the skits in my new format. And I was like, okay, that means that despite how many times people say they like the skits, the data does not lie. So yeah, the skits are gonna go bye-bye. I will still occasionally do like a sketch video because those are really fun for me. You'll see those every so often. But yeah, we're basically gonna be, the videos are all gonna be, my goal is to get into the first point within 30 seconds. Like, boom, 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 go. That's my goal. And what I've seen by analyzing my analytics, my audience retention especially, is that audience retention is off the charts when I do that. And that tells me that is what needs to happen. So yeah, I know some people are gonna be like, oh, yeah, but you know, the audience, the audience data does not lie. So. Yeah, I agree. The longtime viewers probably like the skits way more than newer people do. Newer people are probably like, what is this? What the? This is, whoa. The other thing too with the skits, folks, is that you have no idea how much time it takes to make those skits at the beginning of the video. I have to have an additional recording day. Listen, I can film 4 videos, the talking head parts, in about 6 hours because I batch record everything. However, the skits for just 4 videos, and the skits are like a minute and a half or something. The skits for 4 videos takes me 8 hours to film. 8 hours. It's more than the talking head part, and it constitutes a fraction of the content in my videos. So it's very, very time intensive. That's just my time. My editor, Zach, is probably throwing a party because the skits are going away. Because editing, because I used to edit all my videos before he did, right? And editing the skit takes almost as long as editing the entire rest of the video, and that's saying a lot. So, yeah, it's very, very time intensive. So when I started experimenting and I saw that it wasn't actually helping, probably, I was like, wow. It's kind of like when you're spending, you know, I don't know, you're spending a lot of money for X thing, and then you find out that X thing isn't actually doing you much good. You start to wonder, why am I doing this? You know what I mean? So yeah, you stop spending money on X thing. In this case, time is money for me. You know, so yeah, you stop doing that thing because it's an opportunity cost. What could I be doing with that time, you know, besides this? It's like, oh my gosh, there's so many different things I could do to grow and help, you know what I mean? So yeah, it was, after analyzing it, after doing some experiments, it was very, very clear the direction that things needed to go. Yeah, I'm filming myself 6 times in the skits. Well, it's not just that I'm filming myself 6 times. It's that the scripting, you have to be very careful with the scripting. I was trying to be humorous in those things. So making jokes and trying to be humorous and funny. I have a cat fight going on. Oh, we got the tail end of it. When you're trying to be humorous, it takes longer to write that crap, you know? And then also the filming, I mean, I have to move all of my lighting and my camera and all my equipment around the table multiple times. And then when you're actually filming it, you're getting into all these costumes and stuff, and because I would film myself side by side, like the guy on the left needs to be cognizant of what the guy on the right is going to say so that he can have the appropriate amount of pausing and reactions and stuff. It was a long period of time, and you had to be very, very mentally aware of all of these details to make sure the filming went properly, if that makes sense, so that my editor had the right material to actually make the videos. Because if there weren't enough, like, you know, if the rogue didn't stare at the fighter for 5 seconds, it doesn't give the fighter time for him to say his line before the rogue pipes in and says something. Does that make sense? So yeah, it was a thing. Anyway, yeah. Has Squeaky ever won a cat fight? No, never. Squeaky, no, what? Maybe twice that I've observed in, like, you know, I don't know, 10 years. She almost always loses. What is this? Mommy wants attention. Okay. We should start now. How's that sound? Sounds like a good plan. Sounds like a good plan. Here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the live stream. We have a wonderful show for you tonight. It's gonna be me answering your questions. Yeah. And by the way, if you're catching this on the replay, we do have timestamps down in the description and in the pinned comment. So if you want to just like take a look at what the questions were that we answered tonight, and then jump to the ones that interest you, please take a look at that. Of course, you're welcome to watch all 3 hours. I welcome the watch time, and you might, find a bunch of interesting stuff happen. And we're gonna goof off around a lot. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna feed the kitties and do a bunch of stupid stuff. So there might be some free rants in here tonight, So all that is bound to happen at some point, because yeah, that's kind of what we do around here. So anyway, throw your questions in the chat, hashtag all caps question. My moderators will be throwing that into the spreadsheet. My understanding is that Penguin Butt is manning the spreadsheet tonight. So that means that there's some people manning the chat. There are probably moderators in the chat. Penguin Butt's the nice one, and she's on the spreadsheet. So that means that the not nice ones. Ed is like, Luke, I'm nice. What are you talking about? I know, but you're ruthless. Nah, Ed's an awesome guy. Throw your questions in the chat. We'll get you hooked up. As a reminder, I get so many questions, you guys. I'll do the very best I can, but if you absolutely must have your question answered, super chats get priority, and also member questions get priority. There's a little join button down below where you can become a member, and you get a bunch of different perks, but one of the main perks is that you get your questions answered, prioritized in my live streams. So those are always options for you if you have burning questions, is to do those things. All right, the next thing we're going to do is our very important people shout outs. So we're gonna have a couple screens going on here listing a bunch of different patrons and YouTube members. I say this every live stream, and it's always true. I'm deeply appreciative of all the support they give the channel. Their patronage and their membership helps me do all the things I do with the D&D community. The YouTube videos, the live streams, all of the free content that I put on the dmlair.com that you can use in your games for free. What else do we do? I don't know. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we do that costs money and costs time, and they are awesome and help make that possible. So always super appreciative of them. And these folks right here, they support the channel and all the content we create at a much higher level. And so they get their names read off. Here we go. I need like a big sip of coffee for this. All right, here we go. I'm gonna mispronounce at least. Count how many I mispronounce. Somebody keep track of how many I mispronounce. I can't even. I'm not even saying names yet. I'm already speaking improperly. So this is gonna be great. 5e Magic Shop, Aerospatial, Alex H, Alex T, Amanda W, Ambers, Anthony L, Arutha, Beoban, Brad A, Brandon, Brand C, Brian S, Candy Sora, Chase O, Chris C, Chris E, Chris H, Chris R, Chris Y, Cody B, Contrary Gravy, Crispy Cucumber, Dalius G, David M, Dragon Demon, Drexus, Dresna, Dylan S, Ed R, Edward L, and Dorian72, Ericus, Fallon, Frank C, Gary, Goliath Cleric, Gravy Chorn, Greta Munder H, Heretic, Hydra Slayer, Iron Lord 79, Izzy T, Jacob S, Jake L, James L, Jessica J, Joshin B, Joel L, John A, John H, John N, Jorel, Joseph H, Josh, Joshua G, Josue S, Justin N, Kale S, KK, Ken S, Kevin F, Kevin P, Kezides, Kirby, Kyle G, Kyle M, Kiriako, Labraworks, Leopold X92, Lodwick B, Lord Kemiak, Lori S, Michael C, Michael H, Mr. Lonq, Mr. T, Mumbles Not a Bard, Owen D, Patrick A, Paul B, Paul H, Paul R, Paul Y, Penguin Butt, Pierre P, published author, Rachel S, Radiance Guardians, Ramus, Ramsey M, Raslick, Rates W, Rebecca K, Renner C, Rob M, Ron H, Ryan G, Sakura, Scott F, Shane L, Simon, Smash Skull, Snapdragger, Son of a Sofa Man, Sophie M, Stetson H, Stephen F, Stephen A, WQP, Tactical Tokens, The Old DM, Talking Napkin, The Pickle, The Casual Nerd, The New Bad Hombre, Theta Tag Tiger 500, Tim Black, Todd M, Tom, Tony M, Trista W, Tyler R, Vincent G, William, Xavier H, Zach. Woo! Thank you. What's my error count? Somebody give me an error count. What was I at? I know I got a few wrong. Or was I perfect? I got a bravo. Does that mean I didn't mispronounce anybody's names? That's crazy. That's some crazy stuff. All right, next thing. Ladies and gentlemen, we are trying to raise money for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. Basically, CF is a genetic disorder that affects the lungs, pancreas, and other organs. It's something that doesn't have a cure, is my understanding. There's just treatment options and stuff. So we are trying to raise $500. And when we get there, I will make a nice donation to them on behalf of our streams and all of our wonderful folk here. We're currently at just a tad over $100 donated. If you are interested in supporting this cause, then there is a link in chat where you may donate some money. Whee! All right, finally. And then I'm gonna answer questions, I promise. I swear to you. We're doing a giveaway tonight. We're gonna be giving away a D&D book of the winner's choice. If you are in the US, and if you're not in the US, then we will give you DM Lair store credit, which means you can get like Into the Fae, Lair magazine back issues, and that sort of thing. So, I mean, the winner will get there. If you're in the US, you can choose whichever one, because hey, you might want to get Into the Fae. I don't know. So anyway, we're gonna do that giveaway. There's a link right there in the chat, probably, where you can sign up once it gets thrown in there. And you do need to be present at the end of the stream when we are drawing the winner to claim your prize. So that is the stipulation there, but go ahead and sign up, and somebody's gonna win a D&D book tonight. Whee! I say we a lot. I have fun. It's great. Did that link go in there? Did we get a link to the giveaway? I think I just saw it go in. Okay, cool. Want to make sure that's in there. All right, let's hit some questions. Oh my word, do we have questions? What are your thoughts on evil campaigns, and what advice would you give to someone who wants to run one? So, these are my thoughts on evil campaigns. You run them the same way you run good campaigns. It's no difference. There's no difference in the implementation of it, in my opinion. I'm sure there are different ways. There are different ways to run any campaign. There's a different way to run a good campaign. Every dungeon master is going to have their own different way of running campaigns. So obviously, how I run good campaigns is different from other people. And how I'm going to propose that you run an evil campaign is probably different from how other people would propose that you run an evil campaign. But my take on how to run an evil campaign is thus. 1, the first thing is, all of the adventurers have a reason to adventure together. And they have a reason that they're going to be working together cooperatively to accomplish some sort of goal. There needs to be a goal that draws that evil group together. Yeah, they're all evil, they're all bad, they're all horrible. Yeah, they could be murderers and villains, whatever. But they have a reason to work together. Think about it. Think about think about really bad people in the world. Let's say there's a cabal of criminals and they're stealing things. Let's pretend that, I don't know, think of something horrible. What is that? Human traffickers and stuff. Like, they're very, very evil, horrible people. And yeah, there's a group of them that works together. There's probably lots of groups of them, unfortunately, but there are groups of them that work together to accomplish a purpose, which we would put as evil, obviously. But they don't just kill each other and betray each other constantly. Now, that might happen to some extent, but for the most part, let us assume that they're working together because they have a goal that draws them and they work together to do horrible things. So the same thing applies to an adventuring group that is evil. They are working together for a goal, whatever that happens to be, but they're not betraying each other every game session. They're not trying to kill each other and steal each other. They have a higher goal. Just because you're evil doesn't mean that you're doing evil, horrible things to everybody that you come across. That's absolutely ridiculous. That's not realistic at all. So the first rule is they have a reason to adventure together as a group, and they have a reason to help each other and not just backstab each other every single game session. Because an evil game like that is going to fall apart very, very quick. It's not going to last very long. So that's the very first thing. They need to have a reason to stay together, adventure together, and not betray each other. They need to have a higher goal, a higher cause. Now, your players can help decide what that is, and it'll obviously probably fit in with your campaign idea, your campaign pitch that you might give them. But yeah, that's the basic idea. That's the very first thing, because you need them to be able to work together as a group. You need to be able to actually run a normal-ish D&D campaign. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you basically you can design your entire game, your entire campaign, all of your adventures the same way that you would if you were running a good campaign. You can still have adventures they go on. There can still be dungeons and castles and buildings, and there could be event-based adventures as well. There can be all these adventures they go on. The difference is that their goals are different. Instead of like rescuing a princess or defeating the evil dragon that has been terrorizing the region, they're not going to be doing those things. They're going to be the ones breaking into the king's castle to steal away the princess. They're going to be the ones going after the good dragon who has been protecting the area from something or other. So they're still going on adventures. They can be just the same type of adventure that you would normally go on as a good campaign, only they have an evil goal, they have an evil purpose, and you might use different creatures. You might use good aligned creatures, or you could easily use bad aligned creatures, because you have bad guys and you have bad guys, but these bad guys have different goals than these bad guys, and so they go take them out and they do stuff. So there's really ostensibly very little difference in theory in running an evil campaign and a good campaign. It's just that the characters are evil, and so when they're going on adventuring and doing different things, they might commit evil atrocities on their way as they're doing things, which is always a possibility. So that's kind of my take on it. I don't think there's a huge difference. There doesn't have to be. That said, I think you're probably gonna have, it would take a very mature group, in my opinion, to run that, to play in that campaign, and a mature dungeon master to run that campaign, because I feel like the pitfall that most players are going to fall into is wanting to backstab each other, steal from each other, and do things to each other all the time. They're going to be like, well, I'm evil, I just do evil things. That's not how evil people work. It's not. They're not constantly backstabbing each other and they have goals and they have things they're trying to achieve as well, just like other people would. So I think that's why I say it would take a very mature group to actually run that game. Otherwise, you're going to find it falls apart in a few game sessions when everybody's betrayed each other and killed each other. And then one person's left over. And you're like, well, that didn't work. Yeah, it didn't work because the players didn't have the proper premise and understanding. There weren't some guidelines by which to follow, which is what you need in order to make that work, in my opinion. And there's my take on an evil campaign. Oh, there we go. There's $100 super chat. Dangerous Encounters, thank you so much for the $100. My cats will be eating well tonight. I'm gonna buy them fish. Yeah, actually, I'll buy a new cat. We only got 7. We need another one. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yes, villains don't think they're villains. No, of course they don't. From their point of view, there are very few bad guys that everybody justifies themselves. Everyone does. Even we, like, even if you say that we're good guys, I'm a good guy. Even when I do bad things, and we all do, I justify it. Well, I had to lie because X, Y, and Z. Well, it's not fair that the government takes half of my money, so I'm just gonna hide these things right here and not tell them, But like we justify our actions. We do things that are immoral or we do things that are illegal, and we always justify ourselves. Now, it just so happens that like evil people have bigger things that they justify, but they still justify them. Everybody does that. How do you fit character arcs in a pre-written campaign? So let's say you pick up Curse of Strahd. How are you going to fit character arcs in there? Or you pick up Storm King's Thunder. How do you fit character arcs in there? So the first thing I would say is that you would probably, I personally would have a conversation with my players before running that module. And I would say, listen, you guys, usually this is how I run a game. There's a main campaign arc, which is like the big plot line. Like Lord Paxton wants to take over the Sword Coast and you guys are trying to stop him. That's the main plot line. but I also will make little character arcs. There are other plot lines, other side quests that go on that have to do with your guys' backstories. Usually that's how I run a game. So there's the main plot arc and then all these little side quests go on. Now what this means, of course, is that about half of the time, you're not playing the main character arc, the main plot line, not character arc. You're not playing the main plot line. We're actually doing character arc stuff, which are still adventures. We're still going on adventures as a group because I run group games, but we're not following the main plot line. We're doing other things that are based on backstories. That's how I normally run a game. Now, we all have decided that we're going to run a module. Let's just say it's Storm King's Thunder. We've decided we're gonna, not that I would necessarily recommend that module, but let's say we've decided we're going to run that module. Would you guys prefer that as we're running that module, that I also am homebrewing character arcs, other adventures for you to go on? That is gonna mean that the module is actually gonna take maybe twice as long for us to complete because we're constantly gonna have these little side adventures that we're going on. Or would you guys prefer to simply run the module and you don't care quite so much about all of these different character arcs that are happening? So I would say talk to your players and see what they'd like to do. I have a feeling that my characters in Curse of Strahd, my players in Curse of Strahd, they wanted to play Curse of Strahd. That's what their goal was. Like, we want to play Curse of Strahd. And so delaying the excitement and the anticipation of playing that module so that we can do character arcs probably doesn't align with their goals as players. It doesn't align with the experience they had set before themselves. But you're only going to know the answer to that if you have that conversation with your players and see what they would like to do. And then, now, not every player is necessarily going to have the same response, but I would get a feel for things, and then you as the dungeon master need to make an executive decision. You got 5 players and 4 of them just want to play the module and care nothing about the character arcs and stuff, but one of them is like, yes, character arcs. You need to make an executive decision. In that case, I would probably say, well, you know what? For this right here, we're just going to play the module then, because most of the players want to play the module, you know, and that other person's still going to have fun more than likely. You know what I mean? So it also, I think also it's probably going to depend on you as the dungeon master, because here's the thing. Many times dungeon masters sign up to run modules. They want to run modules so that they don't have to homebrew quite as much. That is one of the big motivations. The content is already created. You still got to tweak things and customize things. That is a thing you have to do. Experienced dungeon masters know that running a module is still work. You still got to do about a bunch of prep and customization, but it arguably is less, theoretically is less than if you were homebrewing your own content. Now, obviously that varies from dungeon master to dungeon master. There's some dungeon masters who can homebrew stuff really quick and it's not a problem for them. There are others that it takes a lot longer. I take quite a bit of time to homebrew stuff. It's a process for me. Others can do it much faster than I can. So your mileage will vary, but if you as a dungeon master are intentionally running a module because you want to reduce your prep time and rely more on pre-prepared content, then you might make the decision that we're just not going to do character side arcs because I want to run the module. Now, especially if you're a new dungeon master, running that module, that might be the scope of what you think you're capable of doing, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you feel that as a new dungeon master, you're not up to homebrewing a whole bunch of stuff and you just want to be using the module, running the module, there's nothing wrong with that decision. Ultimately, as a dungeon master, you get to make that choice. Now, if you're more experienced and you're a veteran, then I would recommend talking with your players and see what their preference is. Got a cat bothering me. Little girl, mommy both want attention, both bothering me. Wow, what is going on here? Oh, I'm missing all the tips. Dang. All right, we got to do some tip shout outs. Kirby, thank you so much for the $50 donation to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. Really, really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Owen, thank you so much for the $10. He says, always a good time to tip and even better for a good cause. Keep up the beautiful work. You're very welcome. Thank you. And thank you for your tip. Owen, another $5. Just a small additional goal. Glad this is going to a good cause. Well, thank you, Owen. I appreciate that. What are we at right now? We are at, we're almost at $200 for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. We're trying to get to $500, and once we do, we're going to be donating it to them. So there's a link in chat where you can tip. All tips go toward Cystic Fibrosis. Now we've previously donated $585 to the Capillary Humane Society near where I live, and we donated $500 and a little bit of change to, who was it we donated that to? Oh, the Boys and Girls Club of Lansing. So one of the things we do on our streams here is all tips go to a charity, and we keep rotating charities around and stuff. So right now is Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. Does Dissonant Whispers cause attacks of opportunity? Well, let us consult D&D Beyond and read what that spell says. Tools, sources, game rules. Come on, baby. I clicked it. Let's go. Dissonant Whispers. Hopefully that works. All right. On a failed save, uses its reaction, if available, to move as far away as its speed allows. Yes, it definitely provokes. It definitely provokes attacks of opportunity. An attack of opportunity is triggered when a creature uses its movement to move away from an enemy without using the disengage action. So yes, that 100% provokes an attack of opportunity. How high in difficulty can you push a low-level party? As high as they're capable of being pushed. It's going to depend upon their character builds, and it's going to depend upon the players themselves. That's really what it's going to depend upon. I will tell you, though, that at low levels, there's less wiggle room. There's way less wiggle room than there is at higher levels. There's less room for forgiveness. There's not as many hit points, right? They're not going to take as many shots and stuff. So that's why we say low levels are squishy. So you don't have, I can throw a wide gamut of things on my high level players. I could never do that to a low level party. They will die and get squashed way easier than the high levels will. At a high level, shoot, they could be in an encounter that's going south for them, and they have like a couple rounds to realize this is really bad and we're going to die. And then they have another round to think about how they're going to get away, and then they can execute on it. At low levels, they might not even have one round to realize this is really bad, and oh crap, two of us are already dead. So yeah, you can't push the low levels too far. I try to have like baby gloves on at low levels, cause yeah, and then at high levels I can start getting a little bit, meaner. More challenging stuff from my players. What do you have planned for future Kickstarters? Okay, that's almost like a planted question. I do have a Kickstarter currently planned for January of this coming year. It's called Layers and Legends. Essentially what we're going to do is we're going to take all of the Lair magazine issues from 2021 and we're going to be putting it into 2 books. Now, my original thought was put it into 1 book, and then I saw how much content we had published over this last year for Lair magazine, and it would have been like a 500+ page book, and that's crazy. So I was like, we're gonna have to split this into 2 different books. So we're gonna have 2 books. It's gonna have all the content from Lair magazine, all of the adventures, the traps, the puzzles, all of the cool content that we've been publishing will be in those 2 books. You'll be able to get it in hardcover books, which right now Lair magazine is digital only, but you'll get it in hardcover books. It'll have new layout and formatting. We'll have custom artwork for it. Stretch goals will add even more content to it. It'll be very, very cool. So yeah, that's the Kickstarter coming up in January is the plan right now. I don't have any links or anything to it. We're still working on getting the URL and all this kind of crap ready for it. But yes, that is coming up in January. Who's your favorite mod? Who's your favorite kid? It's always the one asking. Who's my favorite mod? Well, I like Penguin Butt. I like Ed Robinson. I like Goliath Cleric. Tashio's pretty cool. Deceiver's pretty sweet. Yeah, I mean, and then I could keep going. I have lots of mods. They're all really, really, really cool. Yeah. Yeah, I can't just name one. Then it'll be like mutiny and warfare in the moderator chat. He's gonna read the full list. Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't I? It's just, yeah. How does the DM bring the players back to the path or back on track if they go off? Well, it depends on your theory on dungeon mastering, I suppose. How much do you want to corral them down the right path? And what is the right path, and who determines what the right path is? Is there a right path, or are there simply options? It just depends on what kind of game you're running. Are you running a mostly linear game that has kind of one way to go, and that's the expectation? Or are you running a game with options? Here are several plot hooks, several different things you could go and do. Just let me know which one you want to do so I can prepare in advance, please. Or is it a complete sandbox where you've literally made things throughout the entire world already, and no matter where the players go, you have something prepared for them? That is crazy challenging to do that sort of thing. So it just depends on the type of game you're running. Now, if by the way you're wording your question, it sounds like you have one path. There's one way to go, one thing that you've prepared or something, and they're going off path. If that's the case, like for instance, I know from my groups, I usually give them a few different choices. My Curse of Strahd group has like tons of different plot hooks of different things they could do, and they chose one of them. They're like, yep, we're going to the Amber Temple. They're level 8 and they're going to the Amber Temple. It's gonna be great. They already had one encounter. They almost had 3 fireballs dropped on top of them in round 1. Like, so anyway, yeah. But there was a point when they told me we're going to the Amber Temple, and then some stuff was going on, and then stuff went on, and then it almost seemed like they were going to go do something else. And I was like, hey guys, remember like last game session or the one before where you told me we're doing Amber Temple next? Yeah. Well, guess what your dungeon master prepared for you? Yeah. So there's a way to gently remind them if they've already committed to something and communicated something to you that, you know, hey guys, don't forget that you told me you wanted to go do this, and so your faithful dungeon master prepared it for you. So there are ways to remind them of those things, but otherwise it just depends on how you're running your game, you know. And if there's only one thing to really do, then I don't know, you can just remind them of that or ask them to go along with that, like out of character. You can, if they're going off path on something else, you can always improvise too and just run that thing. It really depends on how much you want to corral them and keep them going down one way. I like to have some plot hooks out there that they will commit to and go on those adventures, but I also will put things on their path too that might lead them astray. They might choose to go follow this thing, and if that happens, it's because I introduced an element. I told them that they heard crying off in the woods. Oh, well, I guess we got to go check this out now. The dungeon master said that somebody's crying in the woods. We're gonna go check that out. If you put things like that in the game, and then your players go off and do it, don't be like, whoa, shoot, they're going off track. No, you put that distraction there. You introduced that. Don't be surprised if they go off after that thing. So I would submit that many times when the group goes off path and does something different than they should have done, that the dungeon master has probably introduced something interesting over there that they think they're supposed to go check out, or that they want to go check out. So that's something to consider as well. Now, if you're not doing any of that and they just decide, you know what, we're going to go to the next town and just screw around for a little bit, you know, I guess it comes down to what kind of game you're playing. You know, if that's great, then you go do that sort of thing. If you'd rather run less of a screw around and goof off in town type of game, and you want to run more of, hey, let's go on adventures type of game, you know, then you might ask your players, hey guys, you know, yeah, I don't know. And if you're constantly finding yourself wanting to run a different type of game than your players want to play, then it might not be a good fit. So there's no real easy answer for that. It's really going to depend on your own philosophy as a dungeon master, what kind of game you want to run, what kind of game your players want to play, how you approach it. So I gave you a bunch of words. Somewhere in there might be an answer. Thank you. Elusive Hobo, what's up, dude? I love that name. I love these live streams. Come away smarter every time. Well, that's awesome. Thanks, dude. I mean, it might have been something I said, or maybe something somebody in chat said, but yeah. Yes, join the Discord, folks. Join the Discord. We have so many awesome game masters in there. Some of them, many of them, I would say, have more experience than I have and can give you amazing advice. Just because I have like a ruggedly handsome face and a little bit of charisma and have a YouTube channel does not mean that I'm the authority and that I'm the only one that knows these things. There's so many well-informed, experienced people that can help you out on our Discord. They don't all have a mug as big as mine. They can, though. Do we have a link to the mug? Is there a link that we can put to the mug? We used to have a command that would throw a link to the mug at one point. Oh, don't forget, guys, we are doing a giveaway tonight, too. One person is going to win either a D&D book of their choice, or they'll win store credit to the DM Lair store. So there's a link in chat there where you can sign up for, yes, there's the link to the mug. You can sign up for the giveaway. You do need to be present at the end of the stream when I'm like announcing who, there's an automatic drawing thing that happens, but like you need to be present, and then I call out who won, and then you're like, yay, it's me, and then we're good. But if you're not here, then sorry. So yeah, but giveaway tonight, so sign up for that too. Plat Poobalist, what up, dude? I'm new to your channel and love it. Well, thank you, dude. I'm happy you're enjoying it. There was a question there too. Is that question on our sheet? Oh, I have member questions too. Wow. Please flag that guy's question in the sheet, moderators. I want to make sure I answer it. But I have to click buttons in the sheet. Oh, there it is. Okay, I got it. I figured it out. Okay. I'm good. Do you have any advice on running a Rakshasa as a big bad on an Acquisitions Incorporated campaign? I mean, standard advice for big bads probably applies, but a Rakshasha's from the 9 hells. A Rakshasa hates dying. So you got to figure out some sort of motivation. I mean, what does the lore say about a Rakshasa? I would look into the lore of a Rakshasa and figure out a motivation that seems to fit for a Rakshasa. Why would a Rakshasa be a big bad, and what are they trying to do? Now, look at the lore, look at where they come from, and use your creativity to find out what their goals are, and have their goal and their motivation fit for something from their lore. Like, as an example, I had a big bad in my Ancient Dragon campaign who was a Rakshasa. And that person's motivation was that, so Rakshasas, when they die on the material plane, they are jettisoned back to the 9 hells, their like spirit is, and then they are reformed over, I don't know, years or something. But it is an extremely painful process for them to be reformed. And so in my game, a Rakshasa, this had happened to them, and the person that had killed them, once that Rakshasa had reformed, he went back to the prime material plane to get revenge on that person. And he did some horrible things to that person, gave them a sickness, a disease where they would slowly waste away and die. Well, it just so happened that that person was the father of one of my players' characters. And so that player found out that not only was his dad sick, but the family business was in big trouble. And it turns out that this Rakshasa was behind it all because he was getting revenge on that person who had killed him, and he was destroying the family business. And so my player traveled back to his home country of Am and was figuring out what was going on, and then the group had to confront this Rakshasa. And so that's what I mean as an example of trying to get some information from the lore to form their motivation and goals and form what they're doing as a big bad, and tie it into things in your game. In this case, I tied it into a character arc that was based on my character's backstory. In his backstory, my players had written that his character had a falling out with his father, that they weren't on good speaking terms, and then he was essentially disowned from the family. And that's what caused him to, start worshiping the deity that he worshipped and leave home. And so I wanted to introduce some sort of conflict in his hometown and his family, and especially with his father dying, because that would prompt my player, who's an excellent role player, that would prompt my player to be like, oh my gosh, my father's dying, the family business is in trouble, and my father and I, the last words we had were spoken in anger and stuff, and so do I want to leave this unresolved, or do I want to try to go back and solve things and possibly make amends with my father? And so I was pulling at heartstrings a little bit, when I was crafting all of this sort of thing. So that was the thing that happened not too long ago in my Ancient Dragon campaign. So anyway, there's some words for you. Oh, my moderators are amazing. Okay. Question is, how do you disguise a railroad? Like, how do you make it obvious that how do you make it less obvious that the campaign is railroaded? Okay, first of all, never, ever, 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 ever run a railroad. Second of all, understand the difference between a railroad and a linear campaign. This is a pet peeve of mine. People don't sometimes, it's not their fault necessarily. There's a huge difference between a railroad and a linear campaign. Big, huge, massive difference. Big difference. A linear game is when there is a set sequence of adventures that mostly needs be run in order. For instance, anytime you run a module, almost anytime, you are running a linear campaign, a linear game, because a module is usually almost always, kind of always, designed so that certain adventures are made for the low levels, and then there are other adventures that get made for the higher levels. And so you kind of got to run through a module in order, unless the dungeon master is going to be changing a lot of different things to account for different characters' levels, or he's okay that a low-level party goes into a dungeon that's made for a really high-level party, and they might just die or have to run away and then be frustrated. So generally speaking, a module is designed as a linear game, but it's not a railroad. It's not a railroad. A railroad is when the dungeon master has decided that certain things must be a certain way, and they push their players inexorably down that path to do things a certain way. For instance, a linear game will say, this is the next adventure that you need to go to. You need to go defeat the Mad Wizard. That's the next adventure. That's a linear game. There's one thing to do. That's not a railroad. A railroad is this. Okay, his tower is in front of you. How do you guys want to go in? Let's climb the tower. No, you can't. Reasons. Okay. Let's break the door down. No, you can't. Reasons. All right. Let's knock on the door. You knock on the door and here's a riddle. You need to answer the riddle. Let's go to town and get somebody and pay somebody a bunch of money that's really smart to figure out the riddle for us. No, you can't. Reasons. You have to solve it yourself. Do you see how in that specific instance, I am pushing the players to do the thing the way I want them to do it? There's only one way into the tower, and you must answer this riddle. Any other path, any other options are completely blocked and barred, and you can't use your agency and your own noggins to figure out a solution to this problem. The only solution is a solution I've decided, and you must pick that way to do it. That's a railroad. All right? That is when the players have no choices, no options except for what you've decided must needs be done. So you can totally put an adventure in front of your players and be like, hey guys, this is the next adventure. And that's called a linear game. But when you give them the freedom to overcome the obstacles in that adventure, the way that they choose how to overcome them, they gotta be able to succeed on dice rolls, they gotta do things intelligently, and there could be failure states where they make a bad choice and it doesn't work, and consequences. That's always a possibility. But they need to have the freedom to be able to approach that adventure the way that they want to approach that adventure. Enter it, overcome the bad guy, defeat the puzzle, defeat the problems, combat, non-combat, diplomacy. When they have freedoms, when they have choices, of how to approach it. Now, it doesn't mean that everything could work. There might be a place they go and they want to use diplomacy, and diplomacy is off the table. Like the motivations from the bad guys, the way the bad guys are set up and all of this type of stuff, you're not going to talk them down. Like it's not going to happen. Like they refuse. So that is possible. They might have ways they would like to solve it that aren't going to work. That's always a possibility. But when you totally like close off the options and you're so narrow-minded in only accepting one possible way that the players could overcome obstacles in that adventure, that's railroading. And I say never railroad. Ever. It's bad. It's bad for gameplay. It's horrible. Linear adventures are fine. There's nothing wrong with linear adventures. So if the spirit of the question was, how do you disguise a linear adventure? How do you make linear adventures seem less obvious? You could do that. You could present 3 options and then have one be the overwhelmingly good choice and the other, and have it be a time pressed matter. You know, there's a ticking clock and the other options aren't quite as appealing. They don't pay as much money and like there's no urgency. And so the players are probably going to choose this one right here. You could go to that effort. However, I would argue that it's probably just easier to say, hey guys, we're running a module. And it's kind of designed to have the adventures run in a certain order. That's just kind of how the module is, you know? So yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with leveling with them and saying this is a linear module, this is a linear game. The other thing you can do, honestly, that's not that hard, is if you don't want to run that linear adventure, if you want to give them some choices, is give them 2 or 3 choices about what adventure to go on next through your plot hooks. And then tell them, hey guys, you have 3 options of what you want to do, so you get to choose. However, please tell me which one you want to do next. That way I can go prepare it properly. And I'm not like winging it on the fly. I would appreciate that. And then your players have options and you have the time you need to prepare that thing. So there's my advice and my mini rant. Have a nice day. Narrate your decisions for their PCs. Oh my gosh, I was in a game once at a convention with a horrible dungeon master. She was like literally telling players what their characters were going to do, and the players were like, she's like, yeah, your character walks across the floor up to the light. He does? And the players were obviously just kind of like, you know, like, what? Why are you taking complete control of my character and telling me what my character is doing? Like, don't I get to control my own character? Like, you're the game master. You get to control everything in the game. Leave my character alone. Let me decide what my character does and says. And she was totally taking control over the characters. And I was just like observing this, you know, and I'm just like, she's really bad and she is committing so many bad mistakes right now. And like, I could tell, like, I'm just reading the room. That's all I'm doing. The players were so not happy with it. And then toward the end of the game, no, it wasn't but halfway through like the little 4-hour block that players started suiciding themselves. They were like, they had their characters do things to get killed intentionally so that they could leave the game, you know. And then especially when it was getting close to the very end, they were doing it even more so they could go to Subway and get some food before the next game slot, because this convention only gave you a half an hour between game slots to like go get food and then go to your next game and stuff. And it was like, oh my gosh, it was, yeah. So anyway, it's actually a convention I go to when they actually operate, you know, because right now conventions are just like, you know, shutting down and they're just like, ah! But anyway, yeah, she was not good. Where can you get the mug? There's a link to the mug in chat or something. Somebody's asking about the mug. You go to Amazon. Amazon has a bunch of cool stuff on there. How did you enjoy Dungeon of the Mad Mage? I've never played Dungeon of the Mad Mage, except for one adventure out of it. I've read multiple parts of it though, and I like it a lot. It's not just a hack and slash dungeon crawl. Dungeon of the Mad Mage is a legitimate, cool dungeon, a big one, and it has lots of story, lots of different factions in it. There's lots of opportunity for role playing in it, and opportunities for overcoming obstacles and stuff beyond just killing them. My recommendation for how to run Dungeon of the Mad Mage would be to not run it as one big dungeon crawl from top to the bottom. My recommendation would be to take each level of the dungeon and have it be a different place in your game world, and each of them has its own plot hook that you would have to make, that your players would then go on different places in the game world, and they would be basically running Dungeon of the Mad Mage. But you just wouldn't have it like a top bottom dungeon crawl type thing. My biggest complaint against Dungeon of the Mad Mage is that there's almost no plot hooks. Your group pretty much has to be like, yes, we are deciding to go crawl through this dungeon. There's not a whole lot of incentive otherwise. But that's my real complaint about it. But that's easy, so easy to overcome as a dungeon master. So it's just kind of like this negligible little like, whatever. Most dungeon masters can figure that out and solve that problem. So it's not too big of a deal. Okay, I have like member questions that I've been ignoring. I'm sorry, I'm a bad person. Okay, Owen, what's up, dude? I got your question right here, man. At the end of my last session, a player ate part of a dragon post-mortem. So your player was dead and then he ate the dragon, or the dragon was dead and then the dragon ate the player. Or the dragon was dead and the player ate the dragon after. I think the player ate the dragon once the dragon was dead. Okay, got it. Do you have any recommendations on how this could affect them going forward? Yeah. All right, what kind of dragon was it? Was it like a chromatic red dragon? All right, so they ate part of a dragon. Well, you got two different options. Their blood could be on fire. So like every time they get slashed in combat, something crazy happens. I wouldn't necessarily say that it damages the enemy, because like that becomes way too powerful. Or you could say that they start to grow like scales over their body, or they start to grow a little bit of a tail or some horns or something. It's a flavor, but the trick is flavor. Okay, flavor. You could also say that part of the dragon's departed spirit has like begun to dwell within them, and they take on like character flaws or personality traits that are a little draconic. So I was just reading through a little bit of Fizzbands recently, and apparently dragons are holy creatures of the material plane, and their essence is of the material plane, and they don't have souls, for instance, that would depart and go to like a different plane of existence. They're like creatures of the material plane. So if they're wholly, on the material plane, and you eat part of their dead flesh, their essence, you are imbibing that dragon, and part of that dragon's spirit or something becomes part of you. You could make an argument to that effect, and so you do cool stuff with that. Okay, so Ed Robinson has a very important question. Who is your favorite moderator and why is it Ed? Well, it's rather a loaded question. I would say that my favorite moderator would have to be Ed Robinson, and Ed is my favorite editor. He's my favorite moderator because he is the lead developer of all DM Lair publications, and he is amazing. He does crazy awesome work, and I am deeply super appreciative of that. And he is very, very awesome, and he is the man. Ed, you can pay me my $50 later. All right, thank you, sir. No, Ed is very, very cool. He's awesome. I got to meet at LayerCon was that a month ago? Was it a month ago, 2 months ago, or something like that? Yeah, that was awesome, dude. I loved meeting people in person at LayerCon. It was like probably the best part of LayerCon. All right, we got some more crap going on here. Oh, I missed the super chat. Of course I missed the super chat. I'm so bad. I'm a bad person. All right. Whatever happened to the thing where you get to defeat the boss with our tips and donations? I was the first boss, but I never saw you do that again. Yeah, I decided to stop doing that and just have my tips go to charities, is what I decided to do. We were playing that beat the boss thing and people were tipping and doing that stuff, you know, but I was just, the money was going to me. And at one point I was like, you know what, I'm just going to change how I do this and we're just going to tip and give it away to charities. So I suppose, you know, I suppose we could probably, oh, that is so interesting. We could do the beat the boss thing, only all the money goes to charities. So we could gamify it and make it interesting and fun, but it would still just go to charities. That's a really good idea, dude. That's a great idea, elusive hobo. Thank you for that idea. Then we could raise money for charities and have fun, more fun doing it with that little game. Okay, cool. That's great. I like that idea. Owen Davies, I was the ultimate boss. Yeah, we are trying to raise money for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. We're at almost $200. Link in chat if you want to donate. Once we get to $500, we will give them a bunch of money. What's a good source for the Underdark? I don't know. Let's go find out. Here we go. D&D Underdark sourcebook. Ed Robinson probably knows. There you go. This is a 3rd edition book called The Underdark. All right. Any more questions? I don't know. I would start there. I've never read this. I've never owned it. So I don't know how good or bad it is. Yeah, Ed knows everything. Ed probably knows. Oh, second edition Mesobarazan box set. Oh, that's probably really good. I have one of the 2nd edition box sets for Forgotten Realms, and it's really, really good. Mr. Gore, don't be mean to me. Streaming is really hard. All right, here we go. Javin, thank you for the $5. Oh, the other super chat was from Deadpool. Thank you for the $5 super chat, Deadpool. I appreciate that. And then Javin Hatch, thank you for the $5 super chat, man. Appreciate that. I have a group that blows through encounters that are higher than deadly level. How do I increase difficulty without making it super long? So the biggest trick, the number one trick to increasing the difficulty of encounters or enemies without making combat longer is to increase damage output and not hit points. So if you take CR5 creatures and you bump up their damage output, make until it's like a equivalent of a CR7, then they're much more dangerous, but they have the same amount of hit points, which means your combat is probably going to take just as long. As opposed to if I just make them have more hit points, then the combat draws out longer. When I'm homebrewing and customizing monsters, I keep this in mind, and I have a preference to increasing damage output over hit points. A higher armor class means that they don't get hit as much, and that's going to draw things out as well. So keep that in mind. And obviously, even if you have a low level party, let's say they're level 3, but they're really good players and they got really optimized PCs, then you can just, when you create encounters, punch them in as though they're level 4s or punch them in as though they're level 5s, and then see how that goes. So you can always just do that if you need things to be more challenging for them. I have like groups, especially my Curse of Strahd group, that they're level 8s, but they can handle stuff probably that level 10s and 11s can handle. They're really good. They're good players, and some of them have really well-built PCs as well. Not all of them, but some of them do. And so I'm pretty confident in just kind of throwing really challenging stuff at them, and they're probably going to be fine. Lord Gosh, thank you for the $7 super chat. I appreciate that. How would you allow a player to make choices in past events they're reliving in dreams? Events that occurred a long time ago. Well, I mean, when they're reliving those events in dreams, they're really just deciding what those events were. Like, this isn't real life. This isn't like, I know that when I was in middle school, I stole an apple from the teacher, I got caught, and I got sent to the office. Like, that's a thing. I can't change that right now. You know, that happened. I stole an apple. I was a bad kid, okay? I didn't actually do that. But I can't change that. But you're playing a fantasy game. They can literally be writing their history during their dreams. And you can pitch it to them and tell them, listen, like, this past event happened years and years ago, and you're reliving it in a dream. But the details, you're literally deciding them right now during gameplay in your dream. And you just decide that that's the way it works. It doesn't mean that it didn't happen that way. It's just that it's being decided now in the present of the game through the dreams. And so I think you just position it a little bit differently and you frame it in that context. And I think that it works just fine. All right, we need to do our cat strike. We're gonna do our cat strike. We're gonna give my kitties a bunch of cat treats. Look at them, they're swarming. Oh, look at them, they're swarming. They're swarming. We're gonna give them cat treats. This is the most adorable thing in the world. But first, a word from our sponsor. This content is brought to you by Lair magazine. Are you a busy dungeon master without enough time to create content for your D&D game? Would you like professional, pre-made 5th edition adventures and other resources you can drag and drop into your existing campaign? If so, Lair magazine has exactly what you need. Every issue of Lair magazine comes with 2 5th edition adventures, maps designed for use on virtual tabletops, and other dungeon master resources. New monsters, puzzles, traps, magic items, NPCs, pre-made encounters, and more. Become a DM Lair patron today to get a new issue of Lair magazine every month, along with loads of bonus content, such as additional 5th edition adventures and map packs with even more digital maps. DM Lair patrons also get extra perks, such as playing in D&D games with me, voting on the videos I make, access to my VIP Discord channel, a monthly video hangout over Zoom, and more. Click that link below to learn more and become a DM Lair patron today. All right, there we go. It's cat treat time. Like sharks. They're like sharks. What's going on down here? Oh my god, I have all 7 of them. I have all 7, you guys. Yeah. Little girl. All right. Watch the kitties. I shall be back. Did Orange get anything? Did he go in the cat box? Oh. Orange. Did he get to eat anything? Did anybody see Orange eating? Oh. I don't even know if he got any food. Yeah, Orange needs to get in the box. Little guy's in the box right now. Ooh, that's a good question. I was tabbed and almost had a heart attack when Luke came back. Why? What did I do? All right, let's get back to this. This is a spectacular question. This is a spectacular question. How do you look good all the time? Well, I'll tell you. Well, the first thing is my immaculate grooming. I bathe usually 3 times a week, and I feel that bathing on a 3 to 4, 2 times a week or so helps my skin to remain very, very, very nice. This kind of glows, has this nice tone to it. I tend to shave every other day. It keeps things, and every so often I trim my beard. I have a salon that I go to. They cut my hair so that it kind of sticks up like this and looks all nice. I shampoo my hair at least once or twice a month as well. And then I have I have expensive hair products that I rarely use. So yeah, it's really a well-honed regimen that I follow that really helps me to keep this handsome luster to me. So I could say more, but I feel like I would be giving away trade secrets, which would, well, it's against my contract, so apologize. What is going on over there? Squirty Pie is attacking the box. She's attacking the box. Look at her. She's just... What is she doing? Squirty Pie. Is that Squirty Pie or is that Orange? No, that's Squirty Pie. She's just pushing it around. She's distracting me. What does she think she's gonna get? Did she think there's some cat treat that's like in the bottom of the box that she's gonna dig out? Like, what is she doing? She just goes in there. Like, Squeaky had his fat butt in there and she's like pushing the box trying to get him to go out, and then he leaves and then she goes in. Like how many cats have been in that box? There's nothing left in there. If there's any crumbs left in there, they're long gone. Jeez. Look at her, there she goes again. I don't know why I'm finding this so hilarious. Somebody's like, Luke, I asked you a question 30 minutes ago. Answer my question. We don't care about your cat. She's going nuts. I'm gonna take that box away from her. What is she doing? Okay, I gotta calm down. I gotta calm down. I'm gonna lose it. Oh, you guys, my mom is in chat. Dude, check this out. Do you see Karen Robinson? Karen Robinson, that's my mom. She's in chat. She's literally in chat. Hi, mom. Hi, mom. All right, I gotta do the full screen. Hi, mom. How you doing, mom? Yeah. You might not want to stay. You're gonna witness your grown son doing crazy things tonight. Everybody's like, hi, Luke's mom. Okay. All right, let's answer some questions. My moderators are awesome. What do you think is the best way to get reluctant players to engage in roleplay? Well, let's clarify terms, first of all. Roleplay is the entire game. Combat is roleplay, exploration is roleplay, social interactions, the talkie bits, are roleplay. Talking in character is a very small part of social interactions. So a lot of times folks will say roleplay, and what they are trying to say is the talkie bits where I'm literally talking in character. And that is like 5% of the game, perhaps. The entire game is roleplay. It's everything. Combat, swinging my sword, taunting my enemy, spitting on his dead cold body. That's roleplay. The whole stinking game. Everything. When I am deciding my moves in combat and the tactics I'm going to use to overcome the enemy, that's roleplay. When I'm casting a spell to burn my enemies to the ground, that's roleplay. That's all roleplay. So if we're talking about how do you encourage your players to engage in roleplay, I mean, crap, if they're at the game table and they're playing the game, they're role-playing. Now, how do you get them to role-play their characters better? Well, you need to help them think, okay, it's acting essentially. It's thinking about what motivates your character. What are your character's desires? What are their goals in this world? And then based upon those, what's their backstory? Based upon those things, what would you do and say in any given situation? And that's how you role play a character. So that's how you encourage your players to role play, probably, is help them to understand what makes their characters tick. And then based upon that information, that helps them decide what they're going to do and how they're going to say things or what they're going to say in situations. And so that's how you help players role play better. If you're asking how do you get them to do talkie bits and speak in character more, well, I would argue first of all, that you probably don't even need to encourage them to talk in character. Like that's just such a niche thing that many people just don't care about doing and don't feel comfortable doing. Like, trying to push them to do something that they just don't want to do is not worth my time, in my opinion. Like, there are so many other parts of the game that are fun and engaging that they do like. Trying to motivate and encourage them to do something that they feel uncomfortable doing or self-conscious doing is probably not worth my time as a game master. I would rather focus my time on other game elements that they do like and they do love. And the players that do want to talk in character and do want to have all the social interactions and talkie bits because that part of the game interests them, then yeah, let's go. But if I have a player that really is there because they love tactical combat and that's what they want to do, or another player who loves roleplay, then they are free to engage with the parts of my game that they find most interesting. I am not going to force someone who doesn't really care about social interactions to no, you have to say something in this social interaction and it needs to be in character. This is a requirement of the game. I just don't care. And it's not that I don't care. I do care. And because I do care is the reason I don't do it. I care about engaging my players in the parts of the game that they feel that they want to engage with, that interests them, that is aligned with their interests. And so if someone doesn't want to do talkie bits and they would rather just fight things, then that's fine. They don't need to engage with that part of the game. They can engage more with the combats and stuff. Different parts of the game appeal to different people, and we don't need to shove it down people's throats. They can sit there and just observe for the parts of the game that don't appeal to them, and there's nothing wrong with that. Especially for players who are a little self-conscious or a little more withdrawn or shy or something, to force them into the spotlight and to say and do things and stuff that they're not comfortable with, it can be intimidating to them as people, as players. So I would be very careful with that and be very conscious that not everyone wants to do that. Not everyone wants to go on stream live and do these things we aren't all the same. We have different things that we're interested in, different things we're good at. So I would approach that with caution, I guess is I never try to force or even encourage people to to like talking character and stuff like that, you know? Like I might have, if there's somebody's being quiet at the table, I might have an NPC address that person to give them an opportunity to say something if they want to, because a lot of times there are lots of loud players who like to talk a lot, and then the quieter ones don't get a chance to say something even if they do want to. And so that's a different story where you're giving them the opportunity to do something and say something because other people are really monopolizing the game time. But that's a different story altogether. If it's clear that somebody does not care to do those things, then I wouldn't push them toward it. How do I show that I'm an adult dragon patron? I don't know that you can hook up Patron to YouTube. I don't think it works that way. All right, did I miss any super chats or anything? Yeah, I did. Look at that. Oh no, I got that one. I got that one. Yeah. Any advice for running single player games? Also, I love your cat so much. Well, thank you. Yes, I have advice. I ran a single player game back when I was in high school. With a guy named Dane. He and I met at his house. We played together for quite a while. And essentially running a single player game is not a whole lot different than running a game with a bunch of players in it. You're still creating adventures and you're still playing D&D. The difference is there's just one of them, which means you need to balance your encounters differently. And keep in mind that action economy is a very, very big thing when you have one PC. If you have one PC, you can have maybe 1 to 2 enemies against them. Once you start to have 3+ enemies against one, it's gonna be rough for them because of action economy. So keep that in mind. Have there be fewer enemies. And I would start out with making the encounters toward the easy spectrum to see how they deal with it, and then maybe change it up a little bit because of the game balance issue. Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition was designed for parties of 4 to 6 players, generally speaking. And so when you have groups that are way bigger than that or groups that are way smaller than that, I feel like a lot of the game elements are going to start to fall apart a little bit. And so I would approach things with making the encounters far easier and seeing how things go, and then maybe ratcheting them up. So those are a few different things to keep in mind. But it was very fun when Dane and I were playing. I remember it being really cool. There's only 2 of you, so like, you know, you're both always playing the game very, very actively. So yeah, not too tough. It's really just balancing things, I think, is the hard part. Oh, this is nice. What is your opinion on online D&D? It's not nearly as fun as playing in person. Not nearly as fun. You guys, like, oh my word. I cannot tell you how much more fun my Curse of Strahd game is now that we're playing back in person. We played this last Sunday. It was a riot. We're laughing so much. Here's the other thing too. Okay, we had this battle in Curse of Strahd this last weekend. It was literally some orcs on a bridge. Orcs on a bridge. There was nothing really inherently interesting about this combat, in my opinion. Now, the orcs had some hostages, some prisoners that they were going to take to sacrifice, you know. And then there was a bridge, so, you know, you could push people off and they could fall and die and stuff, you know. So there was some interesting terrain going on and an interesting premise and stuff. But essentially, you had players at 8th level fighting orcs. There's nothing super like, whoa, amazing concept, Luke, woo, nothing. And I can tell you that when they were gonna fight those orcs, I was like, I thought we might be playing online because one of our players sometimes can't host for us. And I was like, okay, if we play online, this is gonna be it's gonna be a boggy, crappy battle. But we were in person for that battle, and it was lots of fun. And I literally told my players, it might have been directly after that fight too, I made a comment to them, and you can go watch the replay video, which should be up tomorrow morning if you want to watch the whole game session. It'll be on my second YouTube channel, the Dan Lair streams. But I literally told my players, I was like, you guys, that battle was so much fun. It was so much fun. And I'll tell you what, if we had played that battle online, it would not have been nearly as fun. It just kind of would have been a bore. And my players, I think, were like, yeah, that was really cool. And it was just, the thing is that the atmosphere of playing in person is so amazing. It is so much more fun. Like, if you can play in person, play in person. Holy crap, it is so much more fun. I just can't explain it. It's in so many different ways. So, what is my opinion on online play? Well, it's more work to prepare for the game because I have to deal with virtual tabletops and getting maps ready in virtual tabletops. It's more difficult to prepare for the game. It's not as fun to play online as it is in person. What was the other point I had? Oh, you have to deal with virtual tabletops, which can be a pain in the butt to deal with. Technology can get in the way of your fun. When things aren't cooperating with you on Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds or whatever it is, and you can't get the dynamic lighting to work, one of the players can't see, you know, and all this kind of stuff is going on, technology can get on against you, and it can just impede things. And so I have most of my life only played in person. Over the last year and a half, all of my games went to online. And now that they're starting to go back into the person, the dichotomy, the distinction between them, and the amazing amount of fun that you have in person, there's no comparison. It's like a 10x. Yeah. So, that's kind of my opinion on online play. I try not to do it. I mean, I have one game that is online because their players are from all over the world, and it's fun and entertaining. But I'll tell you what, if we were in person, different story. It would be off the chain, dude. How do you get your players to give real feedback? Every time I ask, they always say everything's fine. Yeah, because that's the socially proper thing to do. That is 100% what they're gonna say. Oh, everything's fine. Because that's the proper thing to say. You can't, so like if you keep getting that answer, it depends on your relationship with your players. I have players that if I were to ask them in person, they would give me honest feedback. I know they would. But I have other players that might not. So what I do are surveys. I do SurveyMonkey surveys to my players. For my Ancient Dragon group, I do this like every quarter. And I have 3 questions I ask them. What is something that you like about the game that we should keep on doing? What is something that you don't like about the game that we should stop doing? And what is something that we're not doing that you think we should start doing? It's like a little 3 different thing. I think it's called like start, stop, or I don't know, whatever. There's some stupid acronym that goes along with it. Ask your players those 3 questions, open-ended questions, in SurveyMonkey, send it to them. They can fill it out. It's anonymous. You'll get some good information. I guarantee you will get good information, and you'll probably get more honest feedback because it's anonymous. You know what I mean? So that's my suggestion for you. As an in-person DM, what has been some of your favorite quality of life changes for you, as well as other helpful accessories and tools? D&D Beyond is still very helpful. You guys, I literally have my iPad with me, and D&D Beyond is still very useful. I can open up the little monster stat blocks in different tabs, and then just go to the one I'm going to use. And I could have them preloaded and ready to go. My players create their character sheets in D&D Beyond. They have their laptops at the table, you know, and like I can go off the game. I don't have to take their character sheets home with me. They're always online. I can look at it. So and prepping for games, even prepping for games, you guys, I use D&D Beyond a lot to prep for my games because it's just easy to find certain things in it. If you know where to look, certain things are really nice and easy to find. The search functionality is still kind of crappy, so there are times it's better to look through a book if you actually want to find something and not take forever. D&D Beyond is a very good tool, even for in-person games. That's what I find for sure. And they don't pay me or anything, so like it's just honest Luke information. What are the things? A grid, just a basic grid, a dry erase grid, super helpful. I love it. Miniatures, I use miniatures. Pen, paper, dice. I don't use a whole lot of extra props. I have a DM screen. I don't use a whole lot of fancy crap when I run games in person. It's pretty bare bones. I mean, The only really expensive stuff that I use when I run in-game games in person are the miniatures, because you got to buy the miniatures. I paint the miniatures, you know, and stuff like that. But that's an enjoyable part of the hobby for me, you know. But I don't use any fancy crap. I mean, D&D Beyond's expensive, but it's pretty basic, because sometimes the fancy crap can get in the way of your game. Like the basics of being a good game master are the basics of being a good game master. Like running a good game is running a good game, and all of those accessories, like, they can make your life easier. They can help you. Like D&D Beyond makes my life easier, you know. But does it make me a better game master? No, not really. It just makes things easier for me, you know. So then those accessories don't make you, like, the miniatures don't make me a better game master. If I had fancy terrain, that wouldn't make me a better game master. And those things don't necessarily make the game more enjoyable for my players, necessarily. I think it probably does. The miniatures for sure do, and the grid, because we love grid and minis combat and stuff. So that definitely makes the game better. But I could do that with a graph paper and M&Ms if I wanted to, and we would still have representations. Oh, quick reminder, two things. First of all, we're doing a giveaway tonight. So if you want to win a D&D book of your choice or credit in the DM Lair store and get cool things like the Into the Fey Ultimate Bundle, there's a link in the chat to the giveaway where you can sign up for that. You do need to be present at the end of the stream tonight. We're going to be going till about 9 p.m. Eastern time, so about an hour and a half from now. So sign up for the giveaway. Lots of cool stuff. Get a D&D book and stuff. And we're also raising money for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. There's like a little bar right here. We are currently at almost $200, and once we get to $500, we'll be donating to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. So if you are interested in tipping, all tips go to CF. So there's some links in the chat for you if you are interested in those things. Thank you. All right, let's do this bad boy right here. Matt Craft, thank you for the $5 super chat. I appreciate that. I'm gonna do the whole answer. Going to be in a weird accent. Oh. Play DM solely D&D. I'm missing a verb. Or do you have other games that you play with friends? Okay, now I understand. I'm like I need verbs. Such as list of games. I mostly play D&D. Yeah, I've played other games like Munchkins is lots of fun. There were some other games I was playing at LayerCon that are lots of fun. I've played Call of Cthulhu. I love Call of Cthulhu. It's very cool. There are two different versions of it. There's like a hero version and a normal version. Basically, the difference is one, you have more hit points, essentially. So you don't die as easily. I've played both of those. They're ostensibly the same. Really, really cool. I like the game mechanics in Call of Cthulhu. I really like how you roll a D100 and you have a score and you're trying to get below that score. And then there's a critical success, I think there are 3 different types of successes. There's like a critical success, blah, 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 etc. So if you get like really close to like your number or something like that, or you get really low or something, I forget all the details. It's been a little bit. But I really like the game mechanics. I thought that was really cool. And I like the build up and the anticipation to the game as well when I was playing it, because you're on an adventure and like there's just this build up of just anticipation and drama as you're exploring and figuring things out. There's a lot of exploration, I found, and not a lot of combat. Once combat breaks out in Call of Cthulhu, you usually end up dying and stuff, so you try not to get in fights. But there's a lot of exploration and interaction with the environment and stuff, and then you're finding out what's going on. There's this crazy monster or something weird going on, and you're discovering these things, and I found that very satisfying. And then, at least when I was playing it, this was in a convention, so it's possible that one-shots like that are designed a little bit differently than like a normal campaign. But what I was discovering is that usually there was this build-up, and then there was a monster of some sort, and it was terrifying, and nothing would hurt the thing, and you're basically just trying to survive and most of the time you just died. I thought that was amazing. I loved playing that. That was so stinking cool. Yeah. What is your favorite pre-written campaign and why? Into the Fae, because I wrote it and it's very cool. I'm like looking at my different things over here. I haven't read most of the campaigns that I own from Wizards, so I can't really comment on many of them, in all honesty. I mean, I think Curse of Strahd is cool, but it's not nearly as terrifying as it should be. And it's kind of easy. Yeah, I don't know that I've really read or played too many of them, in all honesty. I don't tend to play modules. I buy the modules. I read portions of them, but I don't tend to play them. I don't really use them a whole lot. So I can't really comment too much on it. I've read bits, I've done reviews on them and stuff like that, but here's the thing, it's really hard to actually give you my opinion on a module until I've run a game with that module. That's when you really understand whether the module is good or bad. You really delve into it. It's not, you can't really give a true opinion of a module until you've played it. Like if I just read through it and flip through it and stuff, I can give you my first impressions. I can give you my like, well, I think it would be cool. It seems cool. It seems interesting, but you're never going to really know if it's good until you actually play the thing. That's when you're going to understand. But it's also, that experience is going to be influenced by your own ability as a game master and your own decisions when you're running it. It's going to be influenced on your players' decisions and what they do. Like some modules might be wonderful for one group and suck horribly for another group because of all the different variables that go into that module. So even then, you're still just getting one person's opinion in a very, very specific context with certain like decisions and down a certain decision tree. And if there was a different path taken, it could have been a totally different result. You don't know. So it's hard. I see some of these videos where they're like reviewing modules and they're listing the top 10 modules and stuff like that. And I'm just like, well, if you played them all, maybe you could possibly purport certain things, but I don't know how. It's like a new module comes out, there are like 2 new modules a year or something. Like, how does anyone play every single one of them? You can't. It's crazy. It's like it takes you like 2 to 3 years to get through a module. Is Fizban's Treasury of Dragons worth it? I think so. I've been flipping through it and I like it. There's lots of information in there on dragons. There's lots of draconic type monsters toward the back of it. I haven't read the whole thing, but I was flipping through it and I was impressed. I liked what I saw. I really did. Especially if you're gonna have dragons and stuff going on. It's just really cool. And you know what? I don't feature tons of dragons in my games. They come up from time to time, but I feel like even if I didn't really use a lot of dragons, it's just a cool book to have. I thought it was really cool. Like I have so many books on my shelf that like I might never use the content from the majority of them, but there were a few of them that I still really like. And I think Fizbangs falls into that category. There are other books that I get and I'm just like, well, this book's worthless to me. I never used anything from Tasha's Cauldron of Garbage. Everything. Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. I never used anything from there really. Sometimes there's like, I'll look at the magic items in there and be like, okay, tattoos, okay. The sidekick system I think is pretty decent. The patron system in there, you know, but I don't really use it. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's so many source books that I like rarely use. Fizbangs is just cool to read though. I read it. You could run all of them if you ran 25 games a week. Yeah. What is your music app or playlist of choice? And what do you do to create a mood within a face-to-face game? All right, let me show you. Let me show you what I use. Tabletop audio is what I use for the most part. It's really cool. It's really cool. You go in here and I'm like, okay, they're in a library. Hey, I have some libraries that come up. Okay, they're in a swamp. Hey, I got some swamps. Okay, they're gonna be in a battle. Hey, I got some battles I can choose from. It's so easy to find what I need. And then I can start playing one and it'll go up in a player up here. I'm gonna like mute this so you can't actually hear it. It doesn't, I have permission from this guy to like use this in my streams and stuff like that. And I pay him for it and stuff. So I could play it if I wanted to, but I won't, but it's really cool. So you can play this thing and then you can, in the player right here, you can put it on repeat and I can add something else to the player, like right here, and it'll start playing and I can turn this one off and I can put this one on repeat. If I take them off repeat, it'll just cycle through the player. So I could have things keyed up if I wanted to. I could have them planned in advance and that sort of stuff, you know? So this is very cool. This is what I use a lot of times when I know that my game is going to go on YouTube or something because I have permission to use the music and I'm not gonna get like flagged or in trouble with it. Now, if I'm not worried about that though, then I love the Conan the Barbarian soundtracks. There's Conan the Barbarian and then Conan the Destroyer. You guys, the soundtracks from those two movies are spectacular. They are just so good. World of Warcraft also has some amazing soundtracks, like amazing, really good soundtracks. So those are things that I have them all on my iPad and I could play them, but you know, a lot of my videos go on YouTube and stuff and I would totally get like all my monetization would go to like those companies and stuff, which is how it should be in a way. But so I don't use those usually because I'll get flagged. But those are very, very good too. So those are highly recommended. Was there something else in that question? Oh, what do you do to create a mood within a face-to-face game? I think part of it is the music. The music is part of it, but part of it too is your delivery. It's your delivery. It's how you're talking. It's the tone of your voice. It's whether you're being quiet or whether you're being loud and that sort of thing. And so part of it is your delivery. I would say probably 80% of setting the mood is, let's say 20%, I'm just gonna make some numbers up. Let's say 20% are the words you use. 60% is your delivery, how you say those words. So your performance, your acting ability, your delivery. And then 20% is the music that you have going that augments those things. So I think those are the tools you use to set mood. You could use things like lighting and other types of things as well, candles and stuff like that. So there are other tools that you could use as well. You know, just be prepared for candles, not being able to see on your character sheet. Be prepared for people tipping them over and wax getting spilled all over the place. You know, so some things are cooler in concept than they are in actuality. But yeah, there are different tools that you have at your disposal. Yes, we are so close to sending out the hardcovers of Into the Fae. They're being printed right now. They're supposed to be arriving to my distributor, my fulfillment partner, within like a couple of weeks or so. And then those are supposed to be getting shipped out in the beginning to mid of December. So I'm excited to have that stuff shipped out to you folks. So that will be coming very soon. Hopefully you'll have it before Christmas. And then that'll be exciting. Like my Christmas present, yay! Super serious mod question. Luke, did you ever fix the dragon statue mini that your cat broke however long ago? Yes. Do you want to see it? I have a shipping box. I gotta make sure I'm not gonna like dox myself is all. All right. So my cats, for context, my cats broke a dragon mini like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And I have since repaired the dragon mini. Actually, you know what? Let's just let's go with the cat cam or the coffee cam right here. Ta-da! It has been repaired. It is now a 4-piece dragon. It's gonna be sitting in this box for like 10 years because that's how much time I have. I thought about repairing it. I thought really, really hard about repairing it. And then I thought about something else. It was Squirty Pie. It was Squirty Pie, I'm sure, that knocked it off. I think she jumped on top of it is what I think happened. I had it sitting back here on my shelf, and then one day it was just like pieces of it all over the place. But the weird thing was is that the pieces were not on the floor. Some of them were, but some of the pieces were like up on the shelf still. So it was sitting on the shelf, and then some pieces were on the floor and other pieces were still on the shelf. If it had been knocked off the shelf, it would have fallen onto the carpet. And if it had broken, the pieces would all be down there. I literally think, here's my stack up dinosaur. This is another charity. We raised $5,000 for Stack Up back in May, I believe. Very, very cool. So anyway, this is what I think. The dinosaur or the dragon mini was on the bookshelf. And I think Squirty Pie jumped from way up top. She will often go to the very top of the bookshelf up there and then just jump down. So I think that this is my theory, as I was piecing together all of the clues, she was on top of the bookshelf and she jumped down on top of it. And that's what caused part of the dragon to be on the bookshelf and other parts of it to be on the floor. I think her big fat butt literally was like, woo! And then that's what happened. My cats. I was not happy when I discovered that. Not happy at all. It's like either she did that or somebody swung a baseball bat or something at the dragon mini. It's like I don't know what other options there were. All right, that goes there. How do you make your maps? I've been drawing on Roll20 and the software on there is all right, not bad, or intentionally good either. Yeah, don't draw your maps on Roll20. That's like beating your head against a wall. If you think that Roll20 is all right, then you need to look at Incarnate. Incarnate is really, really good. All of the maps that we create for Lair magazine are made in Incarnate. And I gotta tell you what, my cartographers do amazing work. And these maps, I was just reviewing some maps today from one of our cartographers, and I'm just like, holy crap. There's so much amazing, awesome detail in this map. You can do some amazing stuff in Incarnate. Now, I'm not saying that you can do that on day one. I'm sure these guys, one, spend a lot of time to make these maps, and two, have a lot of experience doing it. So bear that in mind. But I definitely recommend Incarnate. I believe it's not expensive either. It's 25 bucks a year. Yeah, it is so cheap, and wow, it is really good. Really good, really good, really good. But that wasn't your question. The question literally was literally, how do you make your maps? I pay people to make them for me. I literally pay people. I don't make my own maps. And this is even for my own personal games. For my own personal games. Like, I literally just paid someone like $100 to make some maps for me because I didn't want to do them. I don't have time to do that. I'm gonna be in Incarnate for like 3 or 4 hours making maps. No, I'm gonna pay someone $100. My time is worth, yeah, way more than that. So how do I make maps? I pay people to do it for me, even for my personal games, because yes. However, if I had to do it myself, I would be using Incarnate and I would get better at it. So that's the 2-part answer. Sorry. What's your favorite part of the D&D board games? The miniatures that come with them. Because I use the miniatures in my games. I've never actually played any of the D&D. I have 2 D&D board games that I own. Wrath of Ashardalon and The Legend of Drizzt. They're back on my shelves. And I've never played those games ever. I literally bought them for the minis, and I use the minis, and I painted the minis and stuff. It's like the world's, it's like $50 for one of these games, and you get 40 miniatures. And 2 of them are large, and one of them is huge. And they're not like the world's best sculpts. Like, they're not like Reaper Bone quality sculpts, and they are a little bit brittle. But dude, for $50 for 40 minis, that's a great deal. It's a really good deal. So yeah, I bought them for the minis. I've never actually played the games. What was it? Ed, what was that game we played at LairCon? There was a D&D board game we played at LairCon. What was the name of that game? Ed and I played that game with some other people. He knows the name of it. Is he still here? Did he leave? Ed can't leave. Ed left. I'm done then. Ed's not gonna be here. I'm not gonna be here. Just in a revolt. I think he left. Oh, there he is. Ha ha. What's up, Ed? Betrayal at Baldur's Gate. He's like, Luke, I'm typing. Calm down and be patient. And then he's like, there's also a delay in chat. I think there's like a 10-second delay between stuff. He's like, I couldn't type. He's like, the pressure. Yeah, we played, what's the name of that game again? Betrayal at Baldur's Gate. I thought that was really interesting and I was having lots of fun, but it was disappointing at how quickly it gets over with. Like it felt like we're exploring and we're doing these things and it's really fun and really cool. But then once the betrayer is unveiled, everything is just like boom, 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 we're done. And I thought the win condition was kind of lame. Like, all we had to do was get all of us in a single room and then somebody does something and we win. That seemed very unsatisfying to me. Like, I wanted to fight the betrayer or something. I don't know. There was something about it. Like, it was very cool and fun up until we actually got to the end game. And then the end game in that particular one was a letdown to me. But that's not the only way probably to end the game. But in our particular one we played, I was kind of like, meh. You know, it's kind of like, you know, going to a Star Wars movie. You're all excited to go to a new Star Wars movie, and then you get there and you watch it and you're like, oh, yeah, that's what it felt like. Only, you know, a good part of the game was fun and interesting, whereas, you know, the entire Star Wars movie sucks. So you don't even get that part. Yeah. So yeah. During the Barbarian Q&A, you said that you have never played the board games on the shelves. Was that true or was that in character? Oh no, it's totally true. That's true. The Barbarian Q&A. Dude, that was so long ago. That was like a year ago that we did the Barbarian Q&A. Wow, you remember that. That's crazy, dude. Will you make a stat block for Swarm of Kitties? Apparently one of my writers said that they will for Lair magazine. So you might get that at some point. That could be like a bonus content. A swarm of kitties. Do you use any external tools to increase tension in battle, like a 30-second hourglass, for instance? I use hourglasses not in battle necessarily, unless a player has a hard time making up their mind quickly, and then I might put out an hourglass to make them move faster. Otherwise they get their turn skipped. But I don't really use those sorts of props in battle usually to increase tension. I'm not saying you can't and that they might not be helpful. I'm just saying personally I don't really do that a whole lot at all. Have you ever run a rival adventuring party for your players? Any pitfalls to avoid in such a case? I kind of have. You kind of run it like a standard adventure, kind of, in a way. And then the final fight would just usually be like that band of adventurers or something. You'd have like, 5 or something of them. And I've done that before. And it's kind of cool and interesting. If you had a rival adventuring party that was just doing stuff to mess with the players or something, you could do that. Conceptually, I've toyed around with the idea of there being a rival adventuring party, and the players will get a plot hook to go on an adventure to do a thing, and the other adventuring party gets there first, and they clear out the dungeon, and then they like leave a calling card, and then your players get there, and they start going in, and everything's already dead, and everything's been looted, and they're just like, what the heck happened here? Like, we literally got a plot hook to do a thing, and the whole dungeon's been emptied out. And they get to the end of the dungeon, and they find the calling card, and they're just like, who the heck was Harlequin's Blade? Who are these guys? What is this? And they go ask around, and then it turns out to be a rival adventuring party. And they're just like, oh my gosh, they're getting the same quest that we are, and they beat us to that one. And then all of a sudden there's this like competition of, oh my gosh, we got to get there first. They're going to clear it out if we don't get there, or something. And so I've toyed around with that idea in my mind, and I think that would be really cool. If you got to implement it properly though, but I think that could be really fun. So I have thought of that too, which is a different way to do it, obviously. But I think that would be cool. How do you feel about another PC asking to roll for perception when the first player failed? That particular use case is horse crap. We call that piling on the dice. It's like, I'm gonna look for secret doors. Okay, give me a perception check. That's a 2. I didn't find anything. And then the other guy's like, hey, I want to look for secret doors too. But your friend just looked for them. Yeah, but I want to make sure. They're obviously metagaming. They saw the 2. Okay, roll perception check. Oops, that's a 4.
Oh, I would like to roll. I would like to look for secret doors too, please.
You just saw 2 of your buddies look for secret doors, and they didn't find anything, and now you want to look for them as well?
Oh yeah, just to be sure, because they might have missed it.
Not at all metagaming and looking at the 2 and the 4. No metagaming whatsoever there, folks. They just want to be certain. Woo! And so then you go around the table and everybody piles on the dice until somebody gets a high number. And then, and then of course it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to look for secret doors. Yeah. I rolled an 18 modified. That's a 22. Yeah, there are no secret doors. Oh, okay. And guess what? When that person rolls an 18, nobody else looks for secret doors to make sure, do they? Of course they don't, because they rolled an 18. If they rolled a 2 or a 4, they would have double checked, but not if they rolled an 18. You see what I'm saying? It's clearly metagaming, and people are piling on the dice until somebody gets lucky and rolls a high number. It's 100% metagaming. There's no justification. Well, we want to make sure. No, that's horse crap. Like if somebody looks like it's just horse crap. So basically what I do is, if somebody's looking for, well, first of all, let me tell you something. My players don't do that usually. They don't do that. Like I literally was at my Curse of Strahd game a couple nights ago, and one of the players, Varys, is always going first and looking for traps and stuff. And he wasn't finding anything because there were no traps. And none of the other players, regardless of what Varys rolled, because we don't hide our dice, none of them were like, yeah, I'm gonna go double check. No, they trusted him to do his job. So not all players are going to do that in metagame. My players in Curse of Strahd certainly were not doing that. I'm not saying they don't ever metagame. There's always a little bit of something that slips through or something. And it's not always intentional. Sometimes it's hard not to. And that's true. But there are some groups that totally do it. So if you have that issue, then just have one person roll with advantage and it represents the entire group looking for something, and then you call it a day. If the whole group's going to work together and try to find something or try to figure something out, that one person makes the check with advantage and you're done. That is considered to be the group's effort in trying to find a thing, as opposed to like 5 or 6 people each rolling a d20 and piling on the dice, which is horse crap in my opinion, and clearly metagaming. It's almost always a case of metagaming. Almost always. All right, I think it's time for a cat trip. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you Cat Crack. Squeaky's like, I smell that. We are going to spread this cat crack. It's actually catnip. Okay, YouTube, it's catnip. YouTube right now is like flagging me for like illicit drugs and stuff. It's catnip, YouTube. Calm down. Yeah, it's catnip. Anyway, we're gonna give our cats this. Oh, little guy wants some too. But first, a message. This content is brought to you by Lair magazine. Are you a busy dungeon master without enough time to create content for your D&D game? Would you like professional, pre-made 5th edition adventures and other resources you can drag and drop into your existing campaign? If so, Lair magazine has exactly what you need. Every issue of Lair magazine comes with 2 5th edition adventures, maps designed for use on virtual tabletops, and other dungeon master resources. New monsters, puzzles, traps, magic items, NPCs, pre-made encounters, and more. Become a DM Lair patron today to get a new issue of Lair magazine every month, along with loads of bonus content, such as additional 5th edition adventures and map packs with even more digital maps. DM Lair patrons also get extra perks, such as playing in D&D games with me, voting on the videos I make, access to my VIP Discord channel, a monthly video hangout over Zoom, and more. Click that link below to learn more and become a DM Lair patron today. Okay, so I have the happy carrot and I have the banana. This banana is getting the crap kicked out of it. I'm gonna have to get a new banana eventually. And we're gonna apply some secret sauce to these guys right here. Just gonna give it a good old application, and then we're gonna give the kitties some of this. Oh, they're excited. There's that. And we got 3 of them. They're gonna fight each other. And here's another one. There you go. Look at them. They're fighting each other already. All right, I'll be back. Please watch Squeaky. I expect a full report of all of the evil, horrible things he does because he's a big meanie. Wow. Oh, is Peak D&D here? Sweet. What up, dude? I don't know who that is. Peak D&D, which one are you? There are 4 of you. Nick? Is it Nick? Okay, cool. What's up, Nick? How you doing? By the way, there's a link to Peak D&D's YouTube page. They create some cool videos. Go check them out. They were doing a playthrough of Into the Fate too. They just finished it up, I believe, Max said in an email to me. So go check their stuff out. It's pretty cool. They're super fun guys. They came to LairCon and we played a game together. And we're gonna have, that's interesting. That game we played, they're currently editing it and it's gonna go on their channel. And that was such a fun game. Oh, Nick, that was amazing. That was so amazing. I loved that game. That was so much fun. So much fun. And then we have panels too from LairCon that will go up as well. Once those are ready. So thank you. By the way, Nick, thank you so much. Tell your dudes, thank you. I'm so super appreciative of you guys coming out and bringing your sound equipment and helping out with that. Oh my gosh, that made such a difference. And then recording the games, recording the panels and doing the editing on that and hanging out with us. It was really cool to meet all you guys. And then playing the game with you. So that was like really, really awesome. So thank you, dude. I appreciate that a lot. And Nick, by the way, you're really tall too. It's like an inside joke. he's like 6'6" or 6'8" or how tall are you? What's your actual height, Nick? How tall are you actually? And Alan from the Dungeon Coach is massively tall too. I didn't expect him to be as tall as he is. I'm meeting these people for the first time in person that I've only ever seen in videos. And I'm like, hi, I'm Luke. Nice to meet you. Hi. 7'5"? You're 7'5"? Holy friggin' crap. No wonder. Oh, that's crazy. That's why I was like, Squeaky just went nuts. Squeaky. Jeez. He's coming back. What are you doing? He's like, hello. What are you doing, buddy? Radiance Guardians, thank you for the $5. Yes, kitties. Kitties. That was Squeaky going nuts. He got the happy carrot. There he goes. He's like, I got my carrot. I love my carrot. Oh, get me some carrot. All right, let's find some questions. How's George doing? George is doing great. I was hanging out with him today a couple times. He's a little freakazoid. He's a freakazoid. George is our squirrel. My wife found a squirrel outside, eyes closed, no hair, half dead. We took him in, we rehabilitated him. He's about 12 to 13 weeks old currently, and he has taken over our 3 Seasons room, and he is being housed there until the spring comes. And in the spring, we're gonna let him go. But yeah, he's currently our guest. He's not our pet because we don't intend to keep him, but he's our little adorable squirrel. He's a freakazoid. He's got so much energy. He's like, I'm just like, holy crap, man. Are there pre-made one-shots in Lair magazine? Yes. Every single issue of Lair magazine has 2 adventures in it. So D&D 5th edition compatible adventures. Every single issue, it comes with maps for use on virtual tabletops as well, so you can import into Roll20 or wherever and use them on your game. So yes, every single issue has 2 adventures in it. Now you say one-shots. It depends on how you define one-shots. In my opinion, a one-shot is a game that is designed to last one session. And that takes a very short game to actually last one session. Each of the adventures in Lair magazine is designed to last 2 to 3 sessions, maybe 4. It depends on how quickly or slow your players play the game. So, but they are like drag and drop adventures. So you can take the adventures in Lair magazine and you can plug them into your own campaign. So let's pretend that you mostly homebrew, but every so often you feel like not having to create your own adventure. You could take the selection we have in Lair magazine and just pick one that you think is interesting, tweak it a little bit to suit your playstyle and your group, and then you drag and drop it into your campaign, and it'll save you some prep time. And the other thing too, I want to point this out. This is very, very important. We write the adventures in Lair magazine in a very specific way that makes them easy to use at the game table. It makes it easy to prep the games. It makes it easy to refer to the adventures at the game table. One of the things that, so I've been playing D&D for a while. I am also a writer by trade. I used to be a tech writer for a long period of time. I studied writing. I have degrees in writing. It's kind of like my thing. And I'm also very analytical and thoughtful and stuff. So like one of the things that I noticed about many of the modules that gets published is that they are not easy to refer to at the game table. One of the big drawbacks of them is that I feel like a lot of times they're written to be read, almost like you would read a novel, but they're not really written to be quickly referred to at the game table. Like you might have big blocks of text, and then if you want to remember, if the player's like, I'm gonna go look in the cabinet, tell me what's in the cabinet. And then you're like, where does it talk about the cabinet? Where does it talk about the cabinet? What's in the cabinet? Oh my gosh, I have 5 paragraphs. Where does it say what's in the cabinet? Ah! And then you can't find it, or it takes you a moment. In Lair magazine, we have, if there's a cabinet in a room, it will literally have bolded cabinet, and then the description of what's in the cabinet as its own separate paragraph, which means that you can easily reference and find what you're looking for in the adventure. And so that's an example of what I mean by writing them very purposefully so that you can easily reference them while you're running the game. Now, does it mean that it reads like a well-written novel? No, it's an adventure. It's meant to be used to play the game at your table. We don't write them like novels. That's not the purpose of writing an adventure. The purpose is to assist the game master in running the game, and that's how we write them. I am convinced that some of the official modules are written to be read and not necessarily to be ran. And I think that's because the writers of them, the publishers of them, know that the majority of people buy the modules, read them, and never actually use them. And so they understand that they need to write it in a certain way because people read them and never use them. That is my theory. That's my current theory of why they're written the way they're written. Otherwise, I don't understand why they would write them that way, because they're actually kind of hard to use at the game table. But that's just Luke's crazy theory. So there you go. Thank you. Dylan, thank you for the $5 super chat. I appreciate that. Have you looked over the Drake Warden FTOD? I don't even know what that is. Is that FTOD? Is that Fizzbands? Okay, the Drake Warden from Fizzbands. I haven't. Let's take a look at it right now. Let us go there and take a look at that. Where is D&D Beyond? There we go. Let's go over here. Sources, Fizzbands, Strixhaven, Curriculum of Chaos. What the heck is that? All right, anyway, Fizzbands. Woo, woo. Where is this thing? Ranger, Drake Warden. Let's do a quick review of this and see what we think. Your connection to the natural world takes the form of a draconic spirit, which can manifest in its physical form as a drake. As your powers grow, your drake grows as well, blossoming from a small, four-legged companion to a majestic winged creature, large and strong enough for you to ride. Wow, that sounds cool. I wonder if it's balanced. Along the way, you gain an increasing share of the awe-inspiring power of dragons. I mean, the Ranger as published in the player handbook is so underwhelming that it's not hard to beat it. I feel like Wizards has been like, over the last like however many years, they're constantly trying to put Rangers out that don't suck. And it's a very low bar. But they're also trying to overcompensate for how bad the Ranger was originally by creating really powerful Rangers. Like the revised Ranger from Unearthed Arcana was so overpowered and broken. Oh my word. Anyway, we're going into a rabbit hole. Origin, okay, yep. Draconic Gift, let's see how balanced this is. The bond you share with your Drake creates a connection to Dragonkind, granting you understanding and empowering your presence. You gain the following benefits. Thaumaturgy, that's cool. Tongue of Dragons, you can learn to speak, read, and write Draconic or one of the language of your choice. I mean, that's cool. It's not that big of a deal. Situationally useful is what we'll say. As an action, you can magically summon the Drake that is bound to you. Okay, cool. It's friendly to you. It has game statistics. It uses your proficiency bonus in several places. Okay, yep, that's their new way of doing this stuff, which I like. In combat, the Drake shares your initiative count, but it takes a turn after you. Yep. Okay, here we go. Its armor class is 14, so it's a minimum armor class of 17 or 16 because your proficiency bonus starts out at 2, I believe, in the game. Hit points 5 plus 5 times your Ranger level. So if you're level 10, it's got 55 hit points. That's not too horrible with a decent armor class, so it has some survivability. Okay. Saving throws, also variable. Draconic Essence, and has a bite attack. 3 plus your proficiency bonus, so that's an okay bite attack. This is kind of like a sidekick. It's definitely not as powerful as another PC by any means. But it's definitely a good sidekick. That's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. What happens if it dies? If it's reduced to 0 hit points, you can use this feature to summon the Drake again. Okay, so if it dies, you just get it back again. I mean, that's fair. If you have a Drake that once it dies, you don't have a Drake anymore, your whole Ranger class is like worthless. So it's fair to get it back again. Bond of Fangska. When you summon your Drake, it grows wings on its back and gains a flying speed equal to its walking speed. Level 7. Okay, cool. The Drake grows to medium size. Yup. You can use the Drake as a mount if your size is medium or smaller. This I disagree with. A medium-sized creature riding a medium-sized creature? No. No. Look at what people historically have chosen to ride. What do people ride? Horses. Horses are big. Horses are like 2 to 3 times as big as a person. Why? Because it takes a big creature to support a human. So to have a Drake be medium and also support a medium creature is not very plausible. Now you can say magic. Okay, fair. Now, not only support it, but now we're talking about flying as well. Flying. Can you imagine a bird carrying away another bird of equal size, of equal weight? That takes some effort. Now there are birds that do it, obviously. You have birds of prey and stuff like that. But they're not going to be doing that very often. It's like you catch the prey, it takes a lot of effort to take it back to your hidey hole, and then you eat it. So I don't know. That seems like, but we'll just say magic, okay? But at 7th level, you basically can fly on your Drake. Okay. And it deals extra damage. You gain resistances. Okay. Drake's Breath. And then it does, and then as an action, at 11th level, it says as an action, you can breathe fire or your Drake can breathe it. Each creature, dexterity saving throw. So that's like a fireball. So you get a fireball. Oh, but it's once per long rest. Or you can expend 3rd level slot or higher, which makes sense because it's essentially a fireball. And then its damage increases at 15th level. Okay. Then at 15th level, you get a bunch of stuff, which at that point in the game, everybody's super powerful. You know, it's large. Okay. Reflexive. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to nitpick it a little bit, and I'm going to say that it's kind of ridiculous that a medium-sized creature can ride on a medium-sized creature. but I don't think it's broken. It sounds very cool, but it doesn't sound like it's OP. You know what I mean? It doesn't, I don't see things in it where I'm like, whoa, holy crap. Yeah, I think it sounds pretty legit. I mean, I would have to see it in gameplay, obviously, to make a final determination, but I don't know. It seems pretty cool. I don't think it's too big of a, if you compare it with other things in Tasha's, there are things in Tasha's that are like crazy OP. This is not that. Doesn't approach that, in my opinion. So it sounds fun, sounds cool. It doesn't sound like it's too OP and broken. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Cool Man Brit, thank you for the $5 super chat. I appreciate that. Do you allow people to pick up a racial feat with custom lineages? I'm not sure that custom lineages and racial feats have to go hand in hand. I think a racial feat is just a feat you can pick up whenever you can pick up feats due to your race. And I don't use custom lineages in my game. I think that takes away flavor and is kind of stupid. So I don't do that. Do you feel it better to avoid meta to roll perceptions for your players? Look, if I wanted to do that, I would just use their passive perception. But of course, a lot of times they declare that they're looking for something. I don't want to do that. Here's why. One. It's more work for me, dude. It's more work for me. So, okay. To avoid metagaming, there are certain rolls that I'm going to make myself, which means not only do I have to roll the die, but I got to know what their modifier is. So it's like, okay, either I have their characteristics, I have some information written down, I know what their modifiers are, or I'm asking them, okay, I'm going to roll the perception check for you. What's your modifier? It's a +3. All right, you don't notice anything. I could do that. That's a pain in the butt. That adds a level of bog to it. Is it worth it? Is the question, you know? So that's one reason why I'm probably not going to do that. The second reason is that I'm taking away dice rolls from my players. Players like rolling dice. I try to let them roll their dice as much as I can. There are some things that I have decided that I'm going to roll, like death checks. I roll those in private for very good reasons. But most of the time, I'm going to let them make their own rolls. Will metagaming sometimes happen? Yeah, it will. And if it does, then I'm going to call it. I'm in the situation we had where we had like people searching for a secret door, somebody rolling a 2, and then somebody else declaring they search and they roll a 1, and then somebody else declaring they search also. I would totally call that and be like, this is ridiculous, you guys. You're clearly metagaming. You're clearly metagaming. Like, you saw what they rolled and it was super low, and so you decided to look too. If the first guy had rolled an 18, you would never have looked a second time. You know it. It's metagaming. I would just call my players on that and be like, that's not cool, guys. I would much rather have that conversation about metagaming than start doing more work and stuff to get around it. I would rather just take the problem head on. It's less work that way. Is it an uncomfortable conversation? Sure. But the success in life that you have can often be measured by the number of uncomfortable conversations that you have. So I would rather take that route. Do you think it is a good idea to let player improv dictate your answer or solution? In other words, trusting yourself not enough to not creating an answer to every problem. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I usually, almost always, have a solution for a problem in the game. Like, if I put a problem or an obstacle in the game, then I will have determined at least one possible solution to it that my players could do to overcome that thing. I'm always open to them coming up with different ways to overcome it. And if their idea is good and they have some good dice rolls, usually, then they can overcome that thing as well. If you're talking specifically like, you know, a puzzle or a riddle, then is it possible that I would just allow something they try to work? Maybe, Like, I'm still going to have an answer, but it's possible that a different approach that they take might also work. And that sort of thing, I'm just going to determine on the fly. So I don't think, I would always recommend you have a solution determined. I don't think it's wrong to let the players figure out an alternative solution as well. The last part of your question is, do you trust yourself enough not create a solution, not creating an answer to every problem? I don't know that I would do that. I mean, I would have there be at least one answer. You don't have to. You could literally not figure out the answer and let your players come up with it. But at that point, you have to ask yourself the question, was there even a problem? Or is it all just smoke and mirrors? Like, if you don't create a solution and you allow your players to come up with it, it really just means you've already decided they're going to win. If you've already decided that they're going to win, then are you even playing a game? If there is no possible fail state, then you aren't really playing a game. It's just like, you know, there's no end. It's just like everything you will solve, you will automatically win, because I haven't even decided what the one possible answer is. It's like anything you come up with could possibly work. So I don't know. There's a point there where you start to wonder, you know, is this even a game anymore? If like I don't even decide at least one answer, and they're just almost guaranteed to come up with an answer that works. That seems there's a point at which part of my brain is like, and maybe I'm not like explaining it and articulating it well, but there's something in my gut that says I'm not sure that that's a game anymore. Yeah. So 2 of my PCs met their end in the last session. I'm assuming you're the Dungeon Master. Do you have any advice on integrating their PCs that are not connected smoothly? Any advice on integrating new PCs that are not connected smoothly? Yes, I absolutely have some advice for that. Just get it done. Get the new PCs into the game as quickly as possible. As quickly as possible. That is the most important thing. Don't overly worry about backgrounds and connections and smooth introductions and stuff like that. The next door they open in the dungeon, the next PC's there. Figure out a reason why. Player, why is your PC in the dungeon and why are they tied up? Why is your PC in the dungeon and why are they unconscious? You know, and then the player can collaborate with you and figure out why their new PC happens to be behind that door in the dungeon. And you come up with a reason. If you want their PC, if you have a need or a desire or a want for their PC to integrate and be tied somehow to the group or to the adventure or something, then make that a request of your player that when they create their new PC, that in their backstory, they somehow tie into things. Like, that's not your job as the dungeon master. That is like some guidelines that you ask your player to follow to help integrate them better into the game. In other words, what I'm saying is offload some of this work and some of these decisions onto your players. Not only because it's like, you know, less work for you, but also it gives your players the freedom to use their creativity to come up with these answers too. And then they're going to feel more ownership over it as well. And they're probably going to like whatever they decide more than if you just decided something and said, this is how it's going to be. So I think those are a few different thoughts on that. Get them into it quickly and give them freedom to decide themselves how to do those things. Now, there's nothing wrong with putting guidelines on them and asking them to do certain things when they create their new characters. Nothing wrong with that. I put guidelines on character creation all the time. You must have a reason to be an adventurer and go on adventures. Number 1. Number 2, you must want to be an adventurer and not retire and be a blacksmith. So you need to have a reason to go on adventures and be an adventurer. Oh, I'm sorry, I misspoke. You need to have a reason to stick with the group. I don't want some edgelord loner who's like, I don't like people. I'm not going to go with them. I'm going to go off my own way. No. Create a character who wants to adventure with the group, who will most of the time stick with the group, because we play a group game. So I put these sort of like guidelines on character creation all the time. And there's nothing wrong with that, because what a player creates, their character needs to fit in with the game that you're running. If they create a character that doesn't fit in with the game you're running, there are conflicts and there are issues, and they will come up. And does it restrict agency a little bit? Does it restrict freedom of choice a little bit? Yes, it does. But it is with the intention of increasing the overall fun of the game. So if somebody's like, well, that's not fair, well, then maybe this game is not the game for you. You should go. There are lots of dungeon masters out there. So yeah, you just go figure that out if you need to. I think I answered that question. Cool man Brit, yo, what up, dude? You're just dropping the super chats tonight. Thank you so much, dude. We got a $5 super chat and then an $8 super chat. You're awesome. Thank you, dude. I appreciate that. When playing in person, do you draw out every room of the dungeon on grid paper for the players as they progress through the dungeon? Oh no! I have done that. Sometimes I still do, but very rarely. It takes way too long. Way too long. What was the rest of the question? Okay. Or only draw out rooms that combat happens in. The last one. So what I do, and you can actually see this in my last Curse of Strahd game. I was doing this. The video should be up tomorrow on my second YouTube channel, the DM Lair streams. I have it's a HUD basically, a heads up display. Essentially on a corner of the grid paper, or sometimes on a separate, not grid paper, but like the big, huge, dry erase mats that you use, I'll draw like a little representation of the dungeon. It's very small. It's not to scale. You can't put your minis on it or anything, but it's a little map. As they explore, I'll draw out this little map. Like I literally, actually, you know what? This is probably, I literally have it probably, I can show it to you. It's probably in Google Photos by now because it would have uploaded. Let me see if it's available and I can actually show it to you. Here it is. Here we go. So this is literally what I was drawing out, and you can see that it is very small. There's my hand. I was literally drawing out parts of this map as they explored it, so that they could kind of get an idea of the layout and which rooms they were in. And this is all I was drawing out. Literally, this is what I was drawing out. You can't put your minis on this. And as they explore, I draw this for my players. And then, like for instance, in this corridor right here, they got into a fight with like 3 baddies that were like throwing fireballs at them. They almost TPK'd. It was like almost had 3 fireballs dropped on them all at once. It was beautiful. And when that fight happened, that is when I took this little tiny grid off. And then, because this was on like a little puzzle grid, little tiny small thing, I could just take it off the table really easily. And then I drew the actual map out on grid paper to scale so that they could put their minis on it, and then we could play the battle there. That is how I almost always run my games in person, because it's very quick and easy to draw these little sketches. And then if a battle actually happens, then I can, do the full-blown thing. It's much faster and smoother that way. Where's my spreadsheet? Oh geez. Cool man Brit has some questions here. So it looks like he was trying to put the question in, and yeah, I totally get it. I do that on Twitch sometimes. I was on a Twitch stream a while ago, and like I was trying to put a question in the chat, and I was cheering or something, and I wasn't able to figure out how to put my question in there. So I know that pain, dude. Anyway, his question is, have you played OSR or Dungeon Crawl Classics? I've not played OSR. I have played Dungeon Crawl Classics. I think we were doing kind of like a sort of funnel or something, is I think what it was. I think we were doing something. It was a one shot at a convention, and they were like, yeah, roll up 3 characters because you're gonna need them. And we did. So yeah, have played Dungeon Crawl Classics. And have you used anything in those games in your D&D games? Not really. I don't remember a whole lot. I've only played Dungeon Crawl Classics like maybe twice, like several years ago. I don't even remember the mechanics that well, honestly. And at least one of the game masters was really, really bad. She's the one I've told stories about how she was like stealing player agency. I've told that story in this stream and other streams. So I don't know. It's possible the bad game mastering eclipsed my memory of the game itself. So no, I don't remember a whole lot from those to be able to do anything with them. How do you balance running 2 or more different campaigns effectively? So I think what this is getting at is the you're running multiple campaigns, right? And so how do you do them effectively? I think there are 2 aspects to this I want to touch on. The first one is your note-taking abilities and keeping track of things. So this is your planning and your note-taking. I use Microsoft OneNote to keep track of all the notes of different my games. I'm currently really only running 2 games concurrently. In the past, I've done up to 4 games concurrently, and Microsoft OneNote saves my life. I take notes of everything that happens in there. I organize things, I keep track of things so I can keep things straight. And that's how I do that. The other aspect of this is only running the number of games that you're actually capable of running concurrently according to your time constraints, because we all have real lives. Most of us have real lives. And if you have other things going on in your life, you only have so much time. You need time to prep for your game, you need time to run your game. And if you're running way too many games, every single game is going to suffer to some extent. So only run the number of games that you feel comfortable running, that you can run well at a level of quality that you want to deliver to your players, and have fun doing it, because sometimes you're doing too many things and they're no longer enjoyable because it starts to feel like work because you're doing too much. So I would be careful of that. So run the number of games that you feel comfortable running and that you still have fun running, and take good notes, I think is the trick to doing that. I feel like for me, running 2 games is pretty good for me, balanced with the rest of the things that I'm doing in my life. If I were doing way more than that, it would be super challenging and I would feel burnt out and exhausted from it. Back when I was running like 3 games concurrently with a 4th game every single month, like once a month, that was too much for me. I was starting to feel, one of the games especially was starting to feel like work to me. It was a weekly game on Fridays, and it was feeling like work, and I was not enjoying it at all. And that was the first warning point to me that 1, I'm probably doing too much because the game's no longer fun to me, and 2, I need to stop that game. And I hated it. I hated to have to make that decision, but I made it, and it was like, sorry guys, I can't do this anymore. And yeah, so I don't know. There are some thoughts for you. Are you kidding me? Alan from Dungeon Coach, are you in my chat? Are you breaking into my stream? Come on, say something if you're there. Punks in my stream. Come on, dude. Don't just sit there quietly. Don't be ninja watching my stream. What is this, dude? I want to see his name pop up. Where is this punk? Yeah, see, now he's quiet. Now he left. Look at that. Coward. Alan's my bud. I'm messing with him. There he is. What's up, dude? How you doing? Yeah, we're doing a live stream. We're doing a live stream right now, man. He's like, yeah, Luke, I know. I clicked the stupid notification on my phone, man. Calm down. Somebody drop a link to his channel so people who don't know the Dungeon Coach, go check his crap out. He does like really cool stuff. I got that one right there. Oh, but how to throw down our DM battle part 2? Oh yeah, dude. By the way, folks, just want to do a quick reminder that we are running a giveaway tonight. There's a link in chat that one of my moderators will post for you. You can go sign up. Basically, we're going to be giving away a D&D book of your choice, or what is it? DM Lair store credits. So you can get like the Into the Fae Ultimate Bundle, back issues of Lair magazine, or D&D books of your choice. So there's a place right there in the chat where you can go sign up for that. You do need to be present at the end of the stream when we draw the winners to win. And by the way, we're going to be ending in about 20 minutes, so it's not that far away. And then we'll be drawing the winner of that. It would be very cool. You'll get some free crap. Free crap's always good, right? Everybody's welcoming the dungeon coach. He's my competitor. He's my fiercest competitor. He's taking over my market share. And you're welcoming him and making him feel loved? I feel betrayed. My chat has betrayed me. It's so betrayed. It's messed up. There's no loyalty. There's no loyalty. My cats are freaking out. I can't check those things off. Like, when you guys put these notifications in the moderator's sheet, I appreciate that, but I can't check them off as answered because then it'll put a timestamp over there. And then Goliath Cleric will put it into our question timestamp. And so I'm like, I can't check those off. I'm going to play D&D with my wife. Is it a good idea? Is your wife in chat? Is she listening to this? Because that will influence my answer. I'm waiting for the follow-up response. Slip Shield, what you got? You just asked the question, so I know you're here. Is your wife in chat? And then I will give you my answer. It will be either a safe answer or a real answer. She's on stream. Absolutely play D&D with your wife. Introduce her to the awesome hobby that we have and how much fun it is. I'll tell you what, if you can get your wife into gaming with you and she loves doing it as much as like you do and stuff, like it will be an amazing experience that probably strengthens your relationship. You're having fun together, you're spending time together doing something that you love. It's probably only going to mean good things for you. Now, you're going to have to make sure you give her magic items and stuff like that. And, you know, if she gets upset when you kill her PC and stuff, you might have to deal with problems at home and make amends and buy flowers and stuff like that. So just be aware that there are probably a few little pitfalls there. But I think it would be an amazing experience. My wife doesn't play D&D. And it would be awesome if she did. I think we could have a lot of fun. So yes, I definitely would encourage that. And yeah, get the green light there, man. Nixa is like, way to play it safe. In all seriousness, if your wife and you start playing, I'm dead serious. If you start playing D&D and you both like it, it can be an amazing activity for you to do together. And it can absolutely strengthen your relationship. 100%, dude. Like, I'm dead serious. It can be really cool. What would be the answer if she wasn't on stream? Somebody else asked me that question. BK Dan. Okay, let's pretend that BK Dan asked me that same question. All right, Dan. It's either going to be the best experience of your life or the worst experience of your life. Yeah, it could go really well or it could go horribly wrong. You might love it, we might have fun, or you might regret inviting her to your game. Yeah. So, but you're never gonna know until you take that first step. But once you do, you're either gonna love it or regret it. And good luck kicking your wife out of the game. Not gonna happen, buddy. But that's just for BK Dan. That answer is just for BK Dan. Slipstream, you're good to go. You're golden, dude. It could really be amazing, or it could be awkward and difficult. It could. It just depends. I don't know. It depends on your relationship and different types of stuff. So yeah. Yeah, there's a kitty cam. Are you kidding me? Oh man, there's always a kitty cam. Look at them. They're all goofing around. Mommy and little girl are worked up. Little girl's getting into the catnip. Look at her. She's totally into the catnip. She's getting high. Oh wow. Slip Shield's laughing. Yeah, but here's the thing, dude. Your wife's probably gonna tell you not to watch my stuff anymore. That guy's evil. Don't listen to him. Yeah, peak D&D. I'm real. Yeah, I'll give the honest answer for sure. Who's the lump of chunk below? Is that Squeaky? Yes, this is Squeaky. This is Squeaky. The lump of chunk. She loves it? Okay, cool. Oh, this is a good one. I have played D&D with a group that fell apart. Happens to a lot of people. Before the party fell apart, I was interested in learning how to DM properly. What are some good starting points? How do I put this delicately? There are lots of resources out there to learn how to DM and how to do it properly. I've heard that there are YouTube channels that have entire channels with hundreds of videos dedicated to teaching people how to become dungeon masters and how to run the game. I think I know a few of those guys too that run channels just like that. You know, now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure that you're on one of those channels right now. It's possible that this guy has been a dungeon master for a while, has like tons of different videos that talk about tons of different parts of being a game master, lots and tons of videos that you could watch and binge on that would help you learn how to be a dungeon master. So yeah, that's probably a one way to go, but also just start doing it. Find some players and start doing it, even before you think you know what you're doing. Get going, start doing it, because you're going to learn a lot and probably have fun. So those are a couple ideas. Yeah, since high school? Yes, totally since high school. Look at that's the shirt. I got the shirt. Look at that. Woo! Because you know, if it's written on a shirt, it has to be true. Ed Kemper's like, could you recommend a few? Yeah, absolutely. Dungeon Craft. I like his crap. I'd go look at Peak D&D. They have some very good videos out there and some gameplay videos that are really interesting and entertaining as well. If you want to learn about homebrew stuff, the Dungeon Coach is a good place to go for homebrew stuff. If you want more of like, I enjoy listening to WebDM talk about their different things. Their shows are really long though, and I don't have, usually it's like 40 minutes. Yeah, I don't have time for that. But they talk about some very interesting stuff. So when I have had time and I listen to some of their stuff, I've always found it very interesting. So I like that stuff. Many of the other channels are just purely entertainment and don't really give you a whole lot of information. Yeah. Channels that are exclusively for DMs and game masters. Those are probably the ones that I can recommend the most, I think, that will give you some good information. And there are some people that I'm intentionally not mentioning. There we go. Let's start some controversy. Let's start some controversy. All right. Next question. Did I get that one? Yeah. What do you do if you have a player who always interrupts other players? Talk to them. He also tries to become the DM while I am the DM. Talk to him. How do I stop this? Talk to him. Here's the method. Here's the method of talking to someone about something that's uncomfortable. Okay. Hello. I've noticed that you are often interrupting other players. This is what happens when you're constantly interrupting other players. Could you please be conscientious of letting other players finish before you talk? Thank you. Boom. There might be some conversation in there where they talk about things. Fair. Hello. I have noticed that even though I wear the mantle of the Dungeon Master, you are trying to be the Dungeon Master too in my game. This is how it makes me feel, and these are the results in the game. Would you please let me be the Dungeon Master and you be a player? Thank you. Be direct. Describe the behavior, describe the consequences, how it makes you feel, what it causes to happen, and then have your request, your ask, your action item for them. Please stop doing X, please start doing X, etc. Now, it's not just like a bullet point delivery. There is a conversation that needs to happen as well. But that is like the guidelines, the framework for having that conversation. And it's important too, you're putting the emphasis on their actions, on what they're doing, not on them being a bad person, but on their actions being undesirable, right? And you want to have that conversation from a good place. You don't want to be angry and upset when you're doing it. You want to be calm, understanding, and stuff. So it's important to do it in the proper way as well. And you're labeling the actions and the behavior as undesired, not the person, right? So it's very important to have those concepts and stuff tight. But when you do that, if you want to get the achieve your objective in having the conversation to begin with. Now, if you go on Reddit or Facebook or someplace, they're going to tell you to kill the PC. Don't do that. Those people are morons. What is your favorite way to start a campaign? In a tavern. Like, do you put your PCs in the same room and introduce themselves, or maybe have them introduce themselves and meet somewhere? Yeah, usually. Yeah, usually I do that. Hey Luke, I took the plunge and started DMing last weekend. I have maps, a module, and some broader ideas about the story of the world. What am I likely to be missing? Nothing, just start. You'll find it. You'll find out what you're missing. Start doing it, and if you're missing something, it will become obvious like that. And you know what? Just figure it out as you go. I wouldn't worry too much about it, dude. Just take the plunge and start, and anything you're lacking will reveal itself. I think one of the biggest impediments we have to starting doing something is thinking that we need to be ready for it. You're never ready for almost anything you do in your life. You're never really ready. You just need to start and then learn and get better as you go. And it sounds like you already did start, so that's good. Last one. How do you keep track of NPC enemy spells and effects, especially if there are a lot of them? Piece of paper and a pencil. I have little token things too. They're like little circles that go on the bottom of the miniatures. That helps keep track of effects as well. So I use those. That helps. I've also used little buttons. You know the buttons that go on shirts? I've went to like Michael's or something and just bought a big pouch of buttons, different colored buttons, red, white, blue, purple, yellow, whatever. And I'll put buttons next to the miniatures. Like a green button means poisoned. A red button means you're concentrating on a spell. And I'll have these buttons next to the miniatures. And that represents different conditions and different things as well. And that helps me remember things visually by looking at it. That helps tons having visual things next to the miniatures. Elusive Hobo, thank you. $5 super chat, I appreciate that. I can't wait to beat another boss. Take my money. I will happily take your money. Thank you. Get in my belly. And then BK Dan. Regarding online gaming, have you heard of Owlbear Rodeo? I have heard of it. I don't really know what it is. I've heard of it. And I just heard of it again. Owen Davies, we're getting into a super chat war. Owen says, I shall be the boss again. Thank you, Owen, for the 675 super chat. They're having a super chat war. Like literally right here on screen, the person who super chatted last, their name goes there. And like now Owen is there. Wow. That's a problem. That means the stream is over. Actually, we need to do our giveaway, folks. We're gonna do our giveaway now. If you have not entered the giveaway, do it now because we're about ready to draw the winner of the giveaway. Link in the chat right there. You can win a D&D book of your choice or store credit to the dmlair.com where you can get back issues of Lair magazine or what do you want to call it? Into the Fae, the ultimate bundle for Into the Fae. Elusive Hobo, $10. Thank you, sir. Or ma'am, or whatever. Thank you, person, for $10. I appreciate that. See? You see? I'm a mean person. Okay, we're gonna do the giveaway now. Enter the giveaway. Do it. Go enter it. Squeaky's decided to go to bed. He got tired. Whoops. He got tired. He's like, I'm sleeping now. Owen, we're just gonna sit here while these guys decide. They're just gonna keep giving me money. Owen, thank you for the 10 pounds. I appreciate that. This is very cool, dude. Elusive Hobo, would you like to get back on the board? We're gonna see how much money these guys have in their pockets, I guess. This is a battle of attrition. This is like fighting Russia. Which one of you is Russia and can just keep throwing bodies at the war? Who can throw more bodies? Don't even give them guns. Don't even give them guns. Just tell them to pick up the guns of the fallen. Let me see. John, let me see what your question was, dude. Because we're waiting for these guys. Okay, here we go. John, do you have a preferred VTT or do you tend to dabble in most of them? What seems to meet your purposes better than the rest? I use Roll20 because that's the first one I ever started using and I've just stuck with it. It gets the job done. There's room for improvement in it, but it does what I need it to do. There's some frustration and there's some learning curve to it, but it gets the job done. That said, there are other VTTs that look a whole lot better and are more highly recommended by other people. But speaking from experience, I can only really speak to that because that's the only one I've ever really used. So I hope that helps. Thank you for your patience, dude. I get so many questions. It's so hard to get them all. You know what I'm saying? Elusive Hobo, thank you. Thank you for, holy crap. Where are we at? $20 now? Thank you for the $20, Elusive Hobo. I appreciate that. That is so crazy. All right. Owen gave up. He gave up. Elusive Hobo, you are the winner. You have forced Owen to give up. Yeah, only moderators can use chat commands. Please stop. They're just gonna keep on deleting stuff. All right, let's do our giveaway. Oh, look at that. BK Dan, $2. Oh, he's like, look at that. Look at that. He got his name on the board. I sniped to make the 5d6 sneak attack. You totally did, dude. Elusive Hobo just got kicked off. This is totally the super chat war. The stream won't end as long as we have this going on. Just, now it gets more interesting. Everybody wants to see who's gonna give up. This is like when you have an auction and like there's that one person who's just upping the price of the auction. They don't actually want to win the auction. They just want to make the other person pay more. Look at that. Owen, you said you were done. And then he does like $2, £2. He's like, I'm done. And then he's like, no, I'm not. Here, have some more money. Wow. This is entertaining. I gotta go to bed, you guys. We need to get this worked out of our system. We're gonna draw the giveaway though now. Okay, jeez. $2. Thank you, Elusive Hobo. They're just going at it. Did I just give you, if I just give you my bank account, you could just do like direct wire transfers. They just want their name on the screen though. They're like, no, Luke, we need our name on the screen. This is too much fun. JB Roan is like, no, here we go, $2. Nathan, oh, dude, Nathan Grifford got on the board. Look at that. He goes on there for $2. Then Owen Davies is like, nope. Here's 150 pounds. This is just. Okay, here we go. Elusive Hobo's $2. This is so fun. and then Nasamu $2. Stabby comes on. Wow. This just keeps going on and on. I'll tell you what. $100 and that person is the winner. $100 and that person will be declared the winner. This is like my Luke's sleazy marketing stuff.
All right, everybody, I know how to solve this. $100 gives you the winner. None of this little stabby sneak attack stuff.
BK Dan's back. He's like, $2. All right, we're gonna draw a winner now. Owen Davies is like, nope. I don't get paid enough. We're gonna draw a winner. We need to draw a winner. There we go. Look at that. Elusive Hobo. Elusive Hobo is the winner with the $100 super chat. He is the ultimate winner. The ultimate winner. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. He has won. There shall be no other. This is like Highlander. There's one and only one. I rage is a bonus action. I can't say your name. I'm gonna call you Red. Rage is a bonus action. Elusive Hobo is the winner though. Regardless, Elusive Hobo has won. And we're gonna draw a winner now. We're drawing a winner now too. Here we go. One prize. Yes. Draw it. Now, if you're the winner, you gotta type something in chat so I know. All right. I need to look at something. Whoa. Okay. Charles Cates. Are you in chat? You need to type in something so I know that you're here, because you have to be here to win. Charles Cates from Tennessee. Are you here? If you're here, you need to type in chat or I'm going to draw a different winner. You need to be here. Say something. Do the typey. Oh yeah, there he is. All right. He is here. All right, Charles. I'm going to, I have your email. I will be emailing you, and then you can tell me the D&D book you want. Yeah, it's pretty simple. So congratulations, dude. Congratulations. And ladies and gentlemen, we are done for tonight. I will see you at a different time. Thank you for hanging out. That was so much fun. Thank you to everybody who participated in the super chat war. Elusive Hobo, thank you so much. I really appreciate the support. You are awesome, dude. And I'm out. Ugh. I will see you guys all different time. Yeah. Goodbye.